What's up, Chumbags? Welcome to the HQ. My name is Kandula, and today I'm joined, as ever, by my co-host, Nick Sivak, for the final episode of the Respawn Station podcast. Only the third time we've done that trick. I mean, whenever it gets old, we'll find out. But no, we are taking another break as we near the end of the year. It kind of just ends up happening like that. I mean, last year I just conveniently happened to got married, and this year, we'll find out while we're taking a break later in this episode. So stay tuned. What's going on there? But no, there's a lot we got to talk about. Obviously, the big headline is that the Game Award nominations are out, and actually, while we're off season, is when the Game Awards will happen. So come back for the next season premiere to kind of get our thoughts on everything that was revealed. I know it actually kind of sucks because I am enjoying the fact that I'm get some time off and like disconnecting, but at the same time, it's just twice that I mean, Nick, I don't need to explain to you how much I love my events,
right?
And if you're a listener, you don't need to know either because we talk about it a lot, and so it sucks that I'm going to miss that again. But I digress. It'll be a fun discussion when we do come back, and usually Nick and I just don't talk at all, so like no real interaction until the next episode.
Communication blackout.
Yeah, essentially. But as always, let's get into the gaming news second, because first, Nick, I've been wanting to ask you, man, for a very long time. Oh man, how is Call of Duty Black Ops 7?
Yeah, so I got my Game Pass sub back again. I've been mentioning it for pretty much months at this point that I was like, I'm thinking about getting Game Pass. No, Xbox is like on fire right now or whatever, but there's actually a lot of stuff that I want to play on there, so I can justify the price for a couple months. And I wanted to hit out a bunch of the short games first. And so there's a couple Call of Duties on there. And
sure,
lo and behold, Black Ops 7 launches like the day after I re-up the sub. So I was like, might as well install this and we'll give it a try.
It's only like 120 gigs. What's the harm?
93, surprisingly. It's actually a little bit slimmer. Still eclipses a lot of other games, but, not super, super crazy. I'm not even going to sugarcoat this. I'm going to say this verbatim for what I sent to a group chat earlier. It is unequivocally the worst game that I have played all year.
Damn.
It is baffling, this game. Like, I don't even know where to really start. So,
and for the record, all right, let me just cover our asses a little bit. You guys can go back, listen to our, past episodes. We are not Call of Duty haters. We're also not, Battlefield riders. When you can go back and read what I wrote about Battlefield. What is it, 2042?
For Black Ops 7, we both had like pretty open minds, like when the trailers came out.
I'm the guy that sort of went viral for my reaction to Black Ops 7's reveal. All right, that's the context. So let's get into it.
This is mostly just the campaign that I'll be talking about. I did not play any multiplayer. I did play a little bit of zombies, like one round, but it also suffered very badly from issues that I'll get into with the campaign. So,
which is also why I'm excited, to be honest. The campaign.
Yeah, I'm gonna like crack myself up here. Think of like almost any kind of bad idea that a Call of Duty campaign could use, and this campaign seems to have it.
God damn. Love to hear it.
The biggest and most prevalent issue I'll start with at the top, because so the game is always online. You need to be connected to the internet to be able to play it. There's been a lot of headlines going around where you can't, pause the game because you have to matchmake into campaign. Essentially, like, it treats it like a Warzone lobby or zombies, where like you load into the lobby screen with your soldier walking forever in a straight line. And then you can party up there, or you can choose to go in solo, but it still has to matchmake and load that stuff. For whatever reason, this game is like horribly laggy for me. Now, I will say I'm playing over Wi-Fi, so part of that I would expect, but I'm like 2 feet away from my router, so it's really not like a distance thing that's causing this. It was like constantly through the entire, it took me 6 hours to finish the campaign. Constantly every 30 seconds to a minute, I would get this little error thing saying packet burst or high latency, and it's like the worst, like
through 6 hours
like rubber banding lag, like think whenever you've lagged in Call of Duty multiplayer, it's that in the campaign, like shooting enemies and no reactions, no hit markers, and then like 2 seconds later dying instantly, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
There were times when I would, because this is Black Ops 7 and it's a more futuristic Black Ops, they do have like some platforming kind of sections, and there have been times where the lag just dumped me down a hole like in the middle of a jump. Thankfully it's not like an auto death, it just kind of respawns you up at the top, but it was like messing with platforming, it was messing with interacting with objects. I would die out of the blue because a bunch of damage just hit me all at once because of it. And yeah, that was the one thing where, you know, I pushed through it, because when it's working, when it's not lagging, it does have that Call of Duty snappy gunplay kind of feel, right? But that lag, I would say, made it borderline unplayable. Like it was enough that like I could push through it, frustrating as it may be, but I'm like kind of shocked that they said that this was okay to like put out in this state. And because clearly, like, you can't ask everybody to hardwire their setups into their router, right? If that is the solution. And I looked up like a quick video or whatever, because I was like, is anybody else having these issues? Is this just me like getting this weird packet loss thing? And the video that I saw was like a tutorial on how to like go into your command prompt and like clear out like, you know, cache data and stuff.
Nice.
I'm like, this is way too like, you know, for casual me going on Game Pass to download Call of Duty to play the campaign. I was like, this is way not what I'm willing
above
to
your
get
pay
into.
grade. Yeah. So okay, the thing that always that really caught my eye as soon as I saw Black Ops 7, and I guess everyone else, right, was that campaign. My expectation was at least that I felt the Black Ops 6's campaign, though maybe a little bit short. Actually, no, not short. A little bit like teasing of like there's more to come, not like versus like putting a bow on it. It felt like a story, you know. So how does that play? Like, is it a good story? Is it satisfying to play? Does it make sense, or is it just fucking
I don't think they had an idea for a story at all.
Okay. See, my worst fear was that it would be like Modern Warfare 3, where the one that came out, the 2023, where the campaign was just like Warzone missions, you know? That was my worst fear.
I also played Modern Warfare 3. We'll get to that one after Black Ops 7.
Perfect.
But to take a quick divergence for this point, Modern Warfare 3 felt like half of a campaign to me. Like, they had some structured missions in that one, like the opening on the Gulag and stuff. There's like a couple of standard missions in there that they segment out with those Warzone style open missions. This doesn't even feel like it has that. It literally feels like it's
oh my God.
A spitball of ideas. It's like, okay, this mission will do this. This mission will do this. How do they do it? The main bad guy said that they're over here now, so they have to go over here now.
Is it Raul Menendez? Is that the bad guy?
Do you want me to say what it is?
Oh,
okay.
You don't have to. If it's a spoiler, I don't want to.
I mean, it's something that you find out in like the third mission, essentially. So,
it's your discretion.
Spoiler alert, because you know it seems like you're okay with it. They set him up as he's like returned in a very like somehow Palpatine is returned kind of moment, and then they pretty much explain it in a cutscene that it's just a deep fake from this AI company.
Oh,
So they're just using him to start stuff, to be able to sell like weapons to people. I guess I just finished this last night, and I have a feeling I'm gonna have a hard time kind of describing the story because it is so just scattershot and weird. It also has the Modern Warfare 3 thing though, where you have like the almost traditional mission and then a mission that's set in clearly their new Warzone map, and you're just kind of like, go kill the high value target or go capture this location. Yeah. And it's like, the map looks nice, I suppose, but the mission structure in those is so antithetical to what like a Call of Duty campaign mission is to me. And I felt this when I played Modern Warfare 3, because I played that first and then I played Black Ops 7. And I've always heard you talk about it and other people about how it has these like Warzone missions, and they always like, there's no focus on spectacle. There's really not really a focus on like storytelling during those missions outside of like some radio chatter or something. There's no like emphasis on like building up what you've come to expect from a Call of Duty campaign, right? And even more so in this game, it feels so much like we just have the assets and we have to get some missions in here. I think part of it, because this is developed by Treyarch and Raven, and it's just following Black Ops 6 from last year, and so clearly they kind of had to get some stuff together here. So it does feel like there's cut corners, and they were trying to work with what they could, but
it also doesn't sound like it's related to Black Ops 6 in any, because that was kind of my expectation, was that 6 and 7 like would flow into each other.
I haven't played 6 yet. That's the last one that I have to play, and I'm gonna play it, next. But this definitely has more in common with Black Ops 2.
Oh man, I hope you enjoy it way more. It can't be worse than what you're telling me here.
Yeah, there's just, those are like the main structural issues that I had with it. To get like a little bit more nitty gritty, the characters and the writing are completely forgettable and just kind of like really stock. So like there's this really weird thing. I don't know if it's just weird to me or not, but so everything is like, if you might remember from the trailers, it's like very trippy, and there's like, weird geography, Inception-y, and stuff like that. It all has to do with this like bioweapon essentially that gets released, and you have these things called C-links that link your entire squad together. So everybody's kind of experiencing the same thing, and it's levels that are pulling from each of the characters' memories, essentially. And so they build up these like moments where they're supposed to be callbacks, and they're mostly callbacks to Black Ops 2. And there's a part in it where you have to go to find a insider for this like company that's the the main antagonist, and he's stuck in a shipping container, and there's just like a shot of David Mason going like, oh my god, and thinking about the shipping container that Woods was found in Black Ops 2 with all the bodies and stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't show any of the actual context. It's just shots of a shipping container, and he's just like, no, the shipping container where Woods was. And it was like I started laughing.
He's in there.
I started laughing because I was like, what the heck? Like, that's such a weird thing to like. Again, I'm trying not to be like insensitive. I'm sure it could like trigger somebody if they went through that or whatever, but it was just such a really weird way to present it that was just like weird. And then they just go and do it, and then they go to the shipping container, and then these vines surround it, and they close the container, and then you have to follow the vines, and then there's like a little flower. You shoot the flower and the vine retracts, and then you go find the next one and stuff. So it's something that's like a very basic, in my opinion, a very basic video game thing, like follow the line and shoot the target.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you do this kind of like memory sequence thing. It's really kind of confusing because it is inspired by the jungle scene where you're going after Woods in Black Ops 2, but Woods is like your memory of him, and he's talking to the characters, so he's like, don't follow me, Mason, this isn't your mission or whatever. And then at the end you find him and kind of get him to like realize that it's not his fault for something that happened in Black Ops 2. I won't spoil that, I guess, even though that game's way older. But then
worth experiencing.
Once you come out of this, then you're basically just rushed off to the next mission, and it's like you go over here and attack this thing or find this person.
I see.
But just across the board, all the characters feel very like wooden, not very yeah, not very memorable at all. The writing is like the bare minimum that you need. There's a lot of just like comm chatter during missions, and to be fair, like they're marketing it as a co-op campaign, and it really felt like, even though I was playing solo, that it was designed to be like a story that you're experiencing while you're talking with your friends and like half paying attention, because some of the stuff that happens, they just kind of like, oh yeah, I guess that kind of sucked, and it's like, okay, we're moving on to the next area. So very weird. One thing that I really don't like, and it's a small thing for me specifically, all the enemies in the campaign have health bars. I really don't like that for some reason. It feels like, how modern the zombies have like health bars?
Sure.
It's the same thing. I don't know why they do that in these newer games. If it's like an accessibility feature, like maybe I could see that, but it just stands out as being really weird to me. And then when you get like a kill on an NPC in the campaign, it gives you like XP, and your leveling up is synced across zombies, campaign, and multiplayer. So it's like, on theory, I could see that being a smart thing. It's like you reward the players for, investing into the campaign and stuff. But it really starts to feel not like a Call of Duty campaign when all of this other stuff is infiltrating what historically has been like kind of a handcrafted, immersive kind of thing. Maybe that's what it is. It's just, it feels completely not immersive at all throughout the entire time that you're playing.
Now that you've completed the campaign, you should unlock the special game mode for Black Ops 7, which I believe is called Aftermath. And for those of you who want to check that out but are too lazy to play through the campaign, they're actually releasing it for free, or like just like as like a general update. I think next week? Something like by the time you're watching this, I think it's probably rolling out. So, I think Aftermath. Have you looked at that at all?
Yeah, I think it's called Endgame. It's
Endgame. Sure, you see where I was going.
I played one, and again, it was like horribly laggy for me. So like I wasn't really investing much beyond just like a cursory glance. And it kind of reminds me of, I guess, an extraction shooter. It's not Battle Royale, and you're not fighting against other people. Like I match made it as solo, but then it puts you on like the big Warzone map or Blackout, whatever it ends up being. And I came across other players that were like friendly, and I could help out, do different things. But there's different tasks. So I did one where I had to hack a safe, and so I had to stay in this area while enemies were attacking me. Once the progress bar filled up, I got a bunch of different like loot drops that you could grab.
Right.
And there's like a progression system in the match. So you start at combat level 1 for your character, and then as you do objectives or kill enemies, you essentially gain XP. And whenever you level up your combat ranking, it gives you kind of like a roguelike almost choice where you can select a perk that augments your abilities. So, for example, whenever I hit the first level up point, I was able to choose between a higher fire rate for all my weapons or automatically regenerating an armor plate. So they kind of give you like a choice as you go to kind of build your character in a sense.
Interesting.
And the map is segmented into 4 different areas. I didn't really get to experience what that was. It's the 4th segment, which is like obviously the furthest or the highest. It was all in red in the map, so I'm not sure if it's just like different difficulty.
Levels?
Yeah, danger levels.
Right.
And you had like an hour in the map that was counting down. I only played for about 15 minutes, and then I got killed.
So you had to get out by the time it's an hour?
I guess I didn't get to the end. I died about 15 minutes in, and then it just made me leave the game at that point. So, a cool kind of thing to add at the end, I guess, to give a bit extra like replayability to do with like friends.
It honestly sounds like the most interesting aspect of the package. It also feels like it maybe belongs on like a Warzone, like free to play area where, I don't know, somewhere in that sphere. But yeah,
for sure, I would be more invested in trying out all of these modes if the game wasn't like rubber banding me every 10 seconds. Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, it was. I wasn't expecting to have like a mode like that at the end, so that was kind of like a cool surprise. But it really did feel like just kind of like when you and I were playing Warzone the other night this week. It just feels like those little missions that you come across that you do in there, but you're not up against other players essentially. So
yeah. Okay, let's talk about that. We hopped into Warzone a few nights ago. Quickly, what did you think? How did it compare? Is it exactly what you thought? Is it a little bit different, better, worse?
It was pretty close to what I remembered. I know it was a lot. I'll say a lot less nerve-inducing playing with the bots because I never remember. I don't think that was in whenever I played it.
No, originally. It's like last year. I think they started it.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Whenever I joined you guys to play, because you were doing another one of those challenge runs with the pacifists up to a certain point. By the time that I joined, we were just kind of like playing Warzone or whatever. So I didn't really participate in that, but I did get all the way. It was like all the way to the end, right?
Yeah. No, Nick, go check out the stream. Nick really held his own. So what I was going to say though is that was your first real experience with the Omni movement from Black Ops 6, which, to the game's credit, I will say that I was very suspicious, or not, like, I don't know if suspicious is the right word, but a little bit hesitant on what the impact of Black Ops 6's Omni movement was. And so when they were hyping it up, I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, you got to always hype up the game, like, whoa, this is revolutionary. You can move in 6 directions, whatever. But then you play it and it's really jarring at first. I think I shared my first experiences on the podcast, but once you get into it, it is like this weird, like once you understand it, and unlocks this weird movement capabilities that are so much fun for me to just, like I get around so like it practically it is nonsensical how I look, like running around, but it's like the diving, the moving around, like it all feels so, it moves at such a nice speed. So I really like the Omni movement. What do you think, for first experience?
I like being able... So the things that I like best about it are being able to dive side to side. I think that is very helpful in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
And famously, older Call of Duties, you could only dive like forward, which like was nice for the time. But being able to like duck off to like a low wall or whatever, I think is really helpful. I also like being able to sprint backwards. That's something that like a lot of games across the board don't really let you do. So I do like that inclusion. I feel the other Omni parts of that, the diagonals, I guess, like probably less use case in those ones I'd be able to find. Yeah. But I like that it does give you a bit more control and a bit more dynamism for different situations to play out differently. And so I do think it's fine. It actually didn't take me all that long to like start kind of incorporating it. I know at the end I was kind of doing a bunch of different things, and that was me of like trying to feel it out a bit more. But they have the Omni movement,
and that's the thing, right? Like it's so weird in terms of like what it's doing. Like again, it doesn't look right or practical, but it gives your character a good sense of physicality, because like when you're diving backwards and you can see your legs under you as you're like holding the gun, it adds like a little touch that I think, again, not a lot of games do. But that being said, the transition as we get into it is Black Ops 7 now is like, we've done it again. What we did last year, we're fucking revolutionizing the fucking controls. And so now it has like wall running or whatever, like jetpack or whatever. Let's talk about that. Is that is better or worse? How do you compare those? Is it as big of a deal as it is?
At least not in the campaign, it's not. There's a couple instances where you do double jumps, and there's one instance that I remember that you run on a wall. Like they force you to run on a wall.
Okay.
In the campaign. There's a lot of character abilities in the campaign. So one that I used a lot was the grapple hook, and it's like a Titanfall 2 essentially grapple hook. You don't really get to like control your character like arcing through the air or anything, but it does help you like get around to different areas, and you can kind of combo it and like grapple hook up and then wingsuit if you're in a mission that lets you use a wingsuit. So there's some interesting tech that you can do with that sort of stuff, but by and large, on the ground, it felt very similar to what we did in Warzone. You got sprinting in all the directions, diving, that sort of stuff, sliding. The one weird thing, correct me if I'm wrong, when you slide in Warzone, when it ends the slide, are you in a crouched position or standing?
Crouched, I believe.
Okay, that's what I thought. Black Ops 7 changes that. If you're sprinting and you slide, you go back to standing position at the end of it. And that kind of just it's not like a bad thing necessarily. It just kind of like, I was like, I don't think that's what I'm used to.
Yeah. That is interesting. But yeah, to get used to it.
Yeah. There's one last thing that I think we need to touch on with Black Ops 7, and it's the boss fights in the game. Because this game has boss fights.
Yes, of course.
Like every level essentially has a boss fight in it. Straight up,
wow.
Like video game health bar. Some of them have phases that you have to go through. And that was really weird. This is one of the most un-Call of Duty like Call of Duty games, I think, in the entire
sounds like
series.
It,
man. I don't know how much of this you have seen, but there's a boss early on in the game where you have to get a kill streak that summons a giant machete from the sky to like land in a spot, and you have to call this giant machete in 3 times to do like actual damage, because if you're just shooting the boss, they like teleport around and they just does like chip damage to the health bar and everything. But
wow, I think that was in the trailer though, the giant machete coming down.
Yeah, there are several different boss fights in the game. Some of them are like kind of fun, I guess. I could see them being more fun if you have more players, and they have that kind of raid boss almost design where it's, watch out for this attack, like everybody group up in this spot, that sort of
call outs and
exactly. It has that sort of flow to it. When you're playing by yourself, it's a bit trickier because it's like you have to manage, I think, more, because the game doesn't really scale for the players, I don't think, because there's a lot more enemies, even compared to Modern Warfare 3, that I was having to fight in the Black Ops 7 levels, and I was like, I feel like this is designed for the 4 players to be tackling this. It's not necessarily challenging, and another weird kind of thing with this game, there's no difficulty for the campaign. It's just one set.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So it's kind of balanced around like that multiple players, but it's not so hard that you couldn't get through it. Like I was able to handle everything. It's just I have to take cover a bit more and choose my shots a bit more carefully. It's so weird, man, because like even like ammo is not really a consideration. I could use one weapon and I feel like you constantly get ammo all the time. And so you didn't even have to switch out weapons. I just did because I was like, I'm kind of tired of using this gun or whatever.
Right.
So
just get the variety in.
Like, I don't want to take too much longer on Black Ops 7. It's very weird. It's very jank. It's not at all what I was expecting going in, even after hearing that it was kind of rough from people. It felt borderline unplayable, like I said, over Wi-Fi. It's like there's little nuggets here and there where it's like, the latency was working in my favor and everything, and I'm like, okay, like this has that arcadey kind of fun to it, but just around like every single level, it feels just they had a super extreme time crunch that they realistically could not ship a Call of Duty to the level that most people come to expect. And it feels like they just had, they dumped out all of the toys that they had to work with. And it's like, oh, let's see what we can cobble together here to make something resembling a campaign mission or two, or like a zombies map. Even the zombies map, I played it once. It takes like chunks from old levels and stuff. There's like a part that's the launch from Black Ops that's also kind of like Ascension.
Oh, yeah.
There's a part that's like a farm that I think is from Black Ops 2, one of the transit maps. And so it's like, even in the zombies, it just feels like they're kind of cobbling things together and trying to get what they can out of it. But yeah, I was not very impressed and was very happy when I hit credits.
That's the thing too, right? So you've been playing Black Ops 7 unexpectedly. I was going through Black Ops Cold War just to cross it off the list and, believe it or not, prepare for the campaign of Black Ops 7. But Cold War, look, I've talked about it already last week about kind of my general thoughts on what I think about Black Ops Cold War. I haven't played more of the campaign, so I've been playing I put probably about good 10 hours into the multiplayer, and it's fun. It has a good Call of Duty responsiveness, arcadey shootouts, whatever. But there is a part of me that was like thinking about it, I think like yesterday, where the official Call of Duty Twitter account put out a post saying like Nuketown 2025 is coming back to Black Ops 7. And I was like, how long are we going to milk these maps? I mean, I'm going through and I realize so many of the Cold War maps, there are new ones, but they're, hijacked. Raid, I think, is one of them too. Even I think they even have a Black Ops 1 map in there too that I played like pretty early on.
The jungle one.
I think.
Yeah.
So like, it just feels so reductive at this point. But like Call of Duty definitely. I'm not the first person to say this, and I'm sure you'd agree with me. But like, it needs a break. It needs some time to gestate and come up with other things and do things that matter, because this really does feel. I mean, look, we have a gigantic article that we wrote when Modern Warfare 3 was coming out in 2023. We'll link down in the description below, but it's called the Call of Duty problem, and we said it back then, and we it's just as relevant now, where we have yet another Call of Duty that comes out as a direct sequel to the one that came out before it, and it feels undercooked, and it just doesn't feel like it belongs. I mean, realistically, other than maybe the Omni movement, sure, from Black Ops 6. Well, actually, no, I'll retain that. If you take out 2023's Call of Duty and 2025's Call of Duty, the impact I feel like would. I mean, obviously, Activision's like, we're making billions of dollars. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. But like as a whole, it's probably better for the series than you know what I mean than
right.
helping it along.
Yeah, and speaking of, I also played Modern Warfare 3. I wanted to get the bad ones out of the way first, because I you just mentioned that article, and like I've heard your thoughts on Modern Warfare 3 2023 quite a bit, and by comparison to Black Ops 7, it's a much better game, but compared
it feels more finished, I'm guessing, or like at least like a little bit better of a package.
Yeah, compared to the Modern Warfare games that came before it, it's easily the worst, and compared to other Call of Duties, it's also not great. As far as the campaign goes, again, I'm not really dipping into the multiplayer with these, I'm just going in with campaign in mind. And the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, I similarly also was texting a buddy of mine and being like, wow, this is kind of weird. Like, a lot of the writing feels just like, oh, Makarov, he's out of prison, and now we have to go here. Now we have to go here. He's doing an attack here. And it feels like there's no focus on that narrative and linking it together. It's just like, we have this map, we have this location, go here, do something. And then, we have the AC-130 mission randomly out of nowhere. And oh yeah, remember Graves when he looked like he blew up in that tank in Modern Warfare 2? He's back now. And it's I could spend literally an hour. We've already talked for 35 minutes on this. I could spend literally another hour just being like, this story doesn't make any sense. At the very least, in the structured missions, i.e. the non-Warzone-esque missions, it at least kind of still hits those marks. There's still scripted sequences that happen. Like, the opening of the game actually kind of set my expectations a little bit higher because it's that raid on the Gulag. And there's like this moment where you're like rappelling down and you have to activate the night vision. They turn off the power. It's kind of like the original Modern Warfare 2 mission.
Right.
And you're like kind of going down each level and they're building up this kind of suspense. And it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then you get to like a Warzone mission and it's just like, go find the target, so like go do that. And it's like, okay.
Whoa.
So there's just the writing I don't think is really great. The cinematic flair when it comes up in moments is cool, but it just they do the alternate thing and it feels like it just breaks up that pace whenever you go from a really cool mission to something that feels really slapdashed and just kind of thrown in there.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I'll really say about Modern Warfare 3, going into it, they were teasing, No Russian was coming back or whatever, like they're going to do a new take on No Russian. And I feel like it was such a weak version of it compared to the original. It had like no impact whatsoever. It felt weak. Like in the original one, there's a trust that is kind of from the developers given to the players, and there's a bit of agency in how you tackle that mission, right? Like, yeah, you can start gunning people down in that mission, or you can, pretend you're going to do that and kind of shoot up in the air, but ultimately the solution of that mission is already predetermined whenever it starts. They already know that you're like an inside agent or whatever. And then in this one, it feels like half of it is a cutscene. You don't have any agency at all over the situation. They're like, oh, this is just going to happen. And then they're just like, they have to like figure out, why this person that Farah knows and trusts, like, isn't a terrorist or something. So it just felt like completely like they didn't understand the original intent of that, and they just kind of wanted like a shocking moment thrown in there.
Right.
So
yeah, no, this is we definitely need some sort of a Call of Duty corner to just get on our soapboxes about this, because I mean we've talked a lot about Call of Duty, but I think this really is this last 30-minute chunk has been a culmination of pretty much what we've been saying for the last 2.5 to 3 years regarding this series. And it's going to be so interesting seeing how they respond to this. This is the first time that, Black Ops 6 did well, but Black Ops 7, they're not announcing the sales numbers, and Battlefield 6, EA they've kind of declared that they are the best-selling shooter of 2025. So, yeah, how does Activision respond to this? Do they, realize anything? Do they, wake up, or do they just keep going, yeah, you know what? The money keeps coming in, a little bit less, but the money's still coming.
Yeah, I'm also very curious to see where it goes, because, it's very cyclical, right? We had like the original games that kind of built up the excitement. Then you get to the Modern Warfare and Black Ops era. That's where the series is at its peak. Then it went downhill for like Ghost, Advanced Warfare, and all that. And basically until you hit Modern Warfare 2019, they go back to what everybody liked, new engine, shiny new coat of paint. Everybody's really hyped on Call of Duty again. And now we're in that downturn again, where it's like we're a couple games on and it's just like it's at the lowest it feels like it's been in forever. So it'll be curious to see if they do like another tech revamp, or if they just try to like focus in on delivering like a specific type of experience for one of these games. Or they could do something crazy and do like Roman Warfare again or something, because there was a leaked project on that.
Let's see it.
I think
now. Go ahead. I'll quickly say actually that it is interesting because Battlefield 6 is answering the call this year, just like it did when is it Infinite Warfare or Advanced Warfare, one of those bombed, but bombed, Call of Duty terms,
right.
But like knowing that Battlefield is also aiming for the yearly release that Call of Duty's going for. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to convince them out of this thing and be like, look, but like these guys are doing it well, but then like those guys are like, we want to be like you one day. So yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, what were you saying?
The only thing that I was gonna say is that it seems that while I didn't enjoy it specifically, the zombies community seems to be like feeling pretty decent about this new map and kind of the direction that the game is going in. So I've always thought it would be interesting if they did like a zombies dedicated game for one of these. And I know Black Ops 3 was like kind of like that sort of, but like, I mean, like the campaign is just like the zombie story that they do and make that
will
like
be
a
interesting.
bit more beefed up and kind of invest a little bit more into that angle. So I could see that being somewhat of an interesting direction to take it if they didn't want to do like a full campaign. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, you also get the people that just do campaign or just do multiplayer and they load into a zombies focused campaign and they're like, what the frick is this dark aether, like max ammo? There's a freaking soda machine over here. Like, what is all this stuff? And it would just immediately you have the similar effect that I'm having with Black Ops 7, I suppose. But
when we come back for the next season, we'll have like 2 to 3 months before they'll announce the next Call of Duty. If they you know continue the yearly release, which as far as we know is what's going to happen. We'll have to do an episode. How do we fix Call of Duty? You know, and again, it's going to be us pitching different Call of Duty ideas that they could realistically do.
It'll just be not a rundown of Modern Warfare 2, 2009.
That'll just be what it is. I'm just going to name each mission of Modern Warfare 2 as my list. But that's enough Call of Duty talk for today. The one game I've been playing is that all you've been playing? Just Black Ops 7 and
just Call of Duty because I'm a normie. So
you got that call to duty, man. So I've been playing pretty much Call of Duty as well. We don't need to talk about that anymore. And Section 13. So last we talked about this game, I didn't even say the name of the game. So you had to kind of imagine what I was talking about if you were just listening to it. But yes, the game is called Section 13. I played 4 hours of it last episode. And since then, I've put about a little over 4 hours. So I doubled my time, or over doubled my time, if you want to be exact. But the good thing is I've finished a run. Like I've completed it and I've gotten to an ending with one character. Like I said, there's 4 characters. I've unlocked them all. And I like the game overall. I don't think it's like a really compelling roguelike. It doesn't leave a lasting impression. I think a big part of that is that it's very the story isn't really that strong, and at least like from what you're experiencing it, the voiceover or the voice acting is really good, and so it has the room to kind of build it out. But I think just too much of the storytelling, the character building is reserved to like documents that you have to sift through yourself. Essentially, you know, one of the things that so when you go out into a run in the game, and I'll kind of give a quick summary of it, right? So you're going in as there's this breach in this really big company, and you and the other 3 people, along with this AI voice in your head, which is voiced by a real person, oddly, is, you know, you're fighting to try to stop this antagonistic force. I'm not going to ruin it, even though it's the first mission, shows you who the bad guy is. Though I will say it does a really cool thing where at the end of the first mission, you actually face a character who's facing the final boss, and then you die, and then the game really kind of starts. And then so when you get to that boss again, you're like, I was here and I knew how ridiculous and out of my depth this felt when I first had it. And this time it was still really close and intense, but I was able to do it. And so it felt satisfying, I suppose, in that way. But every time you go in to kind of secure the loop almost. Let's say secure this universe, because really you're stopping this world, universe ending, timeline ending fucking creature.
There's a real quick, if I could, whenever I was
Yeah.
editing the podcast last week, I pulled the trailer to put in there.
Yes.
And there's a part in the trailer where one of the characters says, I think it's the AI character, says that they're going to explain everything in the form of like a video game trailer, like like launch trailer or something, where it was like a fourth wall breaking joke. Does that happen in the game, or was that just something for the trailer?
That's just for the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no. I mean, there's meta humor a little bit, but it's not. Yeah, it's not like that. It's yeah, the characters exist within their own universe, but they're like, hey, we have to stop this timeline, and then once you beat the game on one run, it's like there's other timelines too. I mean, you've beaten the game, but technically there's other timelines that you can keep going for. But every time you go in, you you get these data cubes. I'm not gonna. I didn't write down the lingo at all. I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. They are used for character upgrades, so you can, increase your health, increase the amount of fear you have, like your fear resistance, because there's a fear meter in the game where if you're in the dark too long without, like, not near a light source, your character will start getting panicked, and if the bar fills, then like like any damage you take is like multiplied, or whatever. Similarly, you can also, with kind of upgrades that you find throughout your run, you could actually create a build that's uses the fear, like panic. So it's like your shots do like double damage if you're panicked or something, But yeah, so you got the data cube things. They are for permanent character upgrades that you do back in your home base. You can also get stamps, and these stamps are used for unlocking more upgrades. There's like 3 tiers for each thing, so you can unlock more upgrades, or you can use those same exact stamps to go to the weapon place and unlock new weapons. There's also credits, and the credits are kind of for during the run. You spend that money, like there's little places like markets where you can go in and buy weapons or health packs or kind of certain things like that. And again, these are found like by killing enemies and looting random, like investigating random little nooks and crannies and stuff. There's also USB drives, and these USB drives are what are character specific. So like each character will only pick up their corresponding USB drive, and when you go back to the home base, you can go and talk to the main kind of computer, and you unlock character files, and those character files are buried deep within this kind of feature is where the story of each kind of character lies. You find out more about them, and I spent some time even after I finished the game kind of reading through it, but man, it's just like I enjoy the ones where there's actually the characters are conversing, but like you have like emails and just like exchanges back and forth, and it's like I can't, this is so much to like it's different when I'm already invested in the storyline and already, like in Wolfenstein, where I'm like, oh, I'm already into this characters and stuff. So reading is just like building out the world that I already liked. This is like, yeah, you got to do all of that, and I don't think there's enough of a compelling kind of core story element to make me do it. So yeah, that felt like really kind of the lacking part. But other than that, though, I've like I said, when you get that nice run, when you get to the the right amount of powers unlocked and or the right abilities unlocked, and you're like, oh shit, like my final run that got me to the credits was like all damage was 50% negated, and I was like, bet. Perfect. And then I had like oh, and also while you're playing, you can get body mod tickets and weapon mod tickets. These are found like these are much rarer, but every time you get them, you can go in between each level. There's a little kind of safe zone, and there you can go and apply body mods, and they'll be like increase health, but also your weapon recoil goes up. Like so. There's trade off. Sometimes it'll say health regen goes up, and there's no side effect, or weapons do a little bit more that's not it. That's not a body thing, but your aim goes, like your recoil goes down, right, and you have a big head. Like it'll be a random combo like that. And weapon mods are self-explanatory. I don't need to explain that, but you can use those to upgrade your kind of thing. And one of the other like weapon or body mods that I got in that on that final run was like max health goes up or max HP was up. And then right before I went to another I did a little like kind of dungeon that the game has just kind of randomly littered around, and it gave me the ability to get 50 bonus health. And so yeah, I walked into that final boss fight, and for the probably first 3/4 of the health bar, he did not actually do any visible damage to my health bar. like it did not move down because I was so past my range. Yeah, so it was
that's one of my favorite things about a roguelike is when you hit the point where the game is like, yeah, you're stacked. Like there's nothing that they're going to be able to do. One of my favorite examples of this is in Enter the Gungeon, which is like my favorite roguelike.
Yep, one of your favorite games. Yeah.
There's a item you can get called the Clone. And essentially what the Clone does is it makes you New Game Plus during a run. So if you die, you restart the run from the very beginning, but you keep everything you've already unlocked.
That's pretty sick.
So if you do it like strategically, you can essentially get 2 runs worth of like upgrades and gear going. And I remember there was one where I got that, and it basically any boss you came across, it like melted the health bar instantly. Like there's just like nothing can touch you. And whenever a roguelike can nail that part of it really well, that's always when there's a certain turning point when it's just like, oh yeah, like I get it. I get the design. This was what it was all kind of building towards to give you this one cathartic moment of just being like, yeah, there's no shot you're going to touch me during this fight.
And that's the thing. If I wish the story was better, because I think the gameplay part is inherently satisfying. Like it's like I said, that build that I had going was fucking crazy. And also that whole time I knew that I had, I was playing solo, but I also had an ability that if I went down, I could revive myself, and that refreshes every 5 minutes. So if I wanted to, I could survive. But I didn't even have to end up using it. But I knew I had that in my back pocket. So I was like going in super like confident. But even then, I was like, okay, got to make sure I'm watching the attack still, not just taking damage, and like what's his move pattern, and kind of getting it. It's still intense. And so yeah, that part of it works. So I guess right now, in the way that I currently feel about it, I am still kind of dipping back in, but it's like a perfect, YouTube game, or like podcast game or something. It's really good to you get into it, but sound is not necessary, and for most of the run, there's not really dialogue that comes in or anything like that either. So. Yeah, there you go. That's section 13.
I think the story part of it is also kind of important. Like Enter the Gungeon, it doesn't really have a story. It is more of like a game. There is story in it, but it's more of like a gameplay first thing. But on the flip side of that, Hades is very story heavy with the roguelike stuff. And with a game like, let's say, Ship of Fools, which we got a code for a couple years ago, that was also kind of a roguelike. Once I got through it the
review
time,
on respawnstation.com.
Once I got through it the first time, I didn't really feel compelled to go back to it again. But with Hades, they really dangle that carrot, because once you beat Hades for the first time, you have this little extended story sequence that gets cut short because you like die and go back again. And it's like, oh, I really need to find out, what, like, how do I fix that, right? And that's a very story baked in reason to continue after you do that first clear. And if it's something like you're kind of describing with section 13, where they don't really have that there, it probably does feel a bit less of a driving force to keep going and doing multiple more runs.
Yeah, and so minor spoiler alert to a roguelike in kind of thematic ways, I suppose. But essentially, you come like it's like a bunker, and so you enter the bunker because it's like your job to respond to it, you're called to it. But then as soon as you enter, the doors close behind you, and it's like, okay, you're stuck in here. Now you got to figure out how to save this timeline or whatever. And so when you beat the final boss, the door is open again. And because like the threat is gone, and so the doors open automatically, and then it's like, okay, now the doors are open, and you're free, but there's also, other universes that could use saving as well. And then there's that, and also when I was looking at the trophies, there's a trophy for find the hidden ending or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's the
Right.
only two things that are kind of nudging me in the direction, but nothing kind of like, oh, I have to find out what's going to happen next. So anyway, that is the all I have to say about Section 13. You can find out more about respawnstation.com. But now it's time for something you won't find over on that. Well, I guess unless you're watching the podcast through a little sidebar on the website, in which case, yes, you are. You prove me wrong. But this is our news breakdown. We got a lot of news this last week, and so we tried to condense it down, boiled it down to the juicy stuff, and also. As of when we're recording this, not when you're watching this, but Nick, I'd like to wish you a happy 1 year to GTA 6. And
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
here
you.
we are.
I gotta light my candles and
yeah.
mentally prepare for it to reset to another year in the next 6 months again.
Just close your eye. Just close your eyes and picture yourself stopping at every stop sign in GTA 6, and that's how you fall asleep. All right, so Nick, this is a big week. What do you want to start here?
Let's just start at the top. We can start with something a little bit fun. Have a bunch of different like movie and TV adaptation kind of news topics. Probably the biggest one is that Nintendo, specifically Miyamoto, shared some official stills from the live-action Legend of Zelda movie after some leaked set footage came out.
Yeah, right. I saw so many people going like Miyamoto's gonna kill this man as soon as he find him, which is crazy that it was. I don't know how. I think they just started filming, and that shit came out fast.
Yeah,
middle of nowhere.
The stills, they're kind of like the original production kind of images when the actors were cast, but like in costume and everything. So it's not really like a ton to sink your teeth into. But the costumes look nice, and I actually think that the kind of the look that they're going for, it's like I can kind of get behind it. Like at first, and even still now, like the idea of it being in live action, I think there's just a big hill that a lot of people are going to have to cross, and that Nintendo's going to have to try their hardest to get people to accept that. And I think that if they strike the right tone combined with these visuals that we see here, I think they're probably pretty safe. But at the same time, just one really tiny Nick thing is that I'm glad that they gave Link his green tunic, because whenever, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on this since these pictures have come out, and I was texting a buddy of mine who's also been like a lifelong Zelda fan with me, and I was like, I sitting here looking at it, like something about Link with the blue tunic in the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom games has always just not looked right to me. And so they gave Link a green tunic, and it's like, hey, look at that. Like, it looks cool. So I'm at least happy with that. I don't know if you have much to say on the Zelda one specifically, but
no. And there goes Nick picking again. Got to coin that term. I got to go coin that for next season. No, it looks fine. Maybe its production is still, so it's not like super. Like I can't really judge like, oh, this is how it's gonna look, other than I guess literally the costuming. But I'm hoping the movie's like vibrant. Plays to that. Get it a real like a Wind Waker color palette. Let those colors breathe. But anyway, that's it.
Yeah, also Nick coded. We got the Fallout Season 2 trailer, the official trailer this time. I don't really like how they name these, because I feel like the first trailer from Gamescom was like the first trailer, but they call that a teaser. It's not really a teaser, but anyway, semantics aside, looks really good. Kind of awkward timing after the discussion we had with the Fallout 4 anniversary stuff. The game side is kind of like in a weird spot, but hey, at least the TV show looks like it's going to be really good. And there's some interesting lore implications that they're showing in the trailer, which is really funny. There's definitely some stuff in there, specifically for people who have played New Vegas, that alludes to an ending and from New Vegas, and historically, Todd Howard said, or like, the production people have said that Todd's only rule was like, don't canonize an ending, essentially, like keep it open. So there are ways, even with what they're showing in the trailer, where they can explain it outside of selecting a definitive ending. But there's two shots in particular where it's like, okay, this is either happening during New Vegas and this is like a flashback, or very specifically, there's one shot in there where it's like, okay, something that you do in New Vegas has to have happened for this shot to make sense, not in a flashback or whatever. So it's the perfect kind of trailer, right? Like the music works really well with it. It sounds very epic in scope, and then there's just enough that they're like hiding and not showing to like have it be really intriguing, especially from a fan perspective. So
yeah, no, I hope that this season 2 delivers on what kind of season 1 built on. I mean, this is crazy. If they pull this off, it'll be quite a feat. Much like, I think. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because specifically, I started Westworld, which was Kilter Films' first kind of thing, and season 1 was really good. I watched season 2 and I was like, that's less good, and then I kind of fell off by season 3, and I'm really hoping that like they can just keep it consistently good for Fallout, selfishly, because I care so much for the franchise. So yeah. I'm really hoping that they can stick the landing, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, one series that really surprised me that was good was Twisted Metal. Season 1 was really good. Got to get to season 2, but they've already announced or greenlit season 3.
Yeah.
So there you go. Season 3 is on the way. I've heard good things about season 2, so it's like actively something I do want to watch.
It just kind of stinks that they didn't have like a game to go with it. I know we had like so many like random rumors and canceled projects and stuff, so they were trying clearly to have something for it. But
all right, Twisted Metal will be back in Fortnite, man. Don't worry too long.
I could see it, honestly, if they, because didn't they have like the one update where it was like post-apocalyptic theme, right? And they had like a bunch of vehicles and stuff that you could drive around.
Jeez, I don't know. It's been a long time. It's been a lot of chapters, Nick.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I've never really watched it, but it's one of those adaptations where, we get something like Resident Evil coming along, and it's like, well, Resident Evil's still established. Like, it's a very historical kind of franchise, but it still has like a place in here. Twisted Metal has not been a part of this industry since like the PS3, right? And even then, it's like it was already kind of past its, peak, so to speak. So
yep.
I just find that very funny and very cool that something like this series is able to like get buzz for people that are, Twisted Metal fans.
Yeah, no, I did not expect that season 1 to be good. We were like, oh, let's watch it just for the hell of it. And we're like, wait, no, actually, this is pretty good. All right, next, we go to my homeland, Ubisoft, to talk about a few different things. So, Nick, I mean, I guess we'll just go down the list, right? So, first of all, Bloomberg reported on a rumor that essentially X-Defiant, a game that, if you know me, I've never played, is available, or was originally a Splinter Cell game. And this obviously got a lot of people talking, including executive producer Mark Rubin, who executive producer of X-Defiant, Mark Rubin. So I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but I'll give you guys some little tidbits here and there. So at first, on November 14th, he kind of replied to this initial kind of article from Bloomberg and says, saw the rumor from Bloomberg that we were working on a Splinter Cell game before switching to X-Defiant. I can say that is not true. When I got to Ubisoft, they had been working on a game for a year that was very ambitious, but was struggling to find the fun. And it was not a Splinter Cell game. I then canceled that one and let the team pitch any game ideas they wanted. Those game ideas, they ended up on a multiplayer arena shooter, and that's what X-Defiant was before, within the year, it got shut down. Then, on November 15th, he actually clarified that Jason Schreier reached out to tell him that the article said that the Splinter Cell game was in development in 2017, and Mark Rubin got there in 2019. So there could be, that 2 year difference where something happened. But I think specifically here, what he was trying to say was that you might have felt that the article was saying that a X Defiant they canceled the Splinter Cell game to make X Defiant, and that statement is untrue. So there you go, a little bit of clarity there. Gotcha. Now, of course, we are not done with Ubisoft. They did not report on their the trading for their stock recently, which has led a lot of people to say, "Hey, who's buying Ubisoft?" I mean, it's look. I'm no expert of the stock market, but that seems to be what the expectation is if this happens. From a large company that we already have, we know at the very least is on the market for new ownership, and they kind of also recently moved the IPs around and made their own, like a separate company, that all that stuff going around with Ubisoft. Yes, there's signaling that something big might happen in terms of kind of what the game, or sorry, where Ubisoft will go, a new ownership. Who will it be? Another Saudi Arabian group? Who knows? We got to stay tuned. Look, guys, I can confirm right now, we did not buy Ubisoft. I did offer a solid, I think, $70. But Ubisoft wanted 80, so it could.
You showed them your
out of our budget.
You showed them your receipt for X Defiant, and they were like,
You know what's funny? I still have X Defiant installed on my Xbox Series X. I know it's pointless. I know that game isn't open to anything, but god damn it, it's mine. No one's gonna have it. In 10 years, I'm gonna sell it to like Flappy Bird.
It's like the
Xbox Series X,
the Wolverine picture where he's like, touching the frame picture. It's just the X Defiant.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. But yeah, so there you go. That's kind of what's going on with Ubisoft. Look, probably there's a I'd say, Nick, what are you saying? I'm a 70% chance that by the time we come back for the next season, Ubisoft's under new ownership.
Yeah, it's really weird. And how, you mentioned they spun off into that new company that I think is partly also owned by Tencent. So it's like, is Tencent like getting the rest of this, or is it how you said, like the Saudi Arabia private investment fund? Or they, they got EA, now they're getting whatever's left of Ubisoft. Did they get any of that, separate, IP stuff with it? It's kind of all up in the air right now, but yeah, the landscape's changing again.
I mean, hey, yes, but the good thing is that while it feels so totally unfair and ridiculous that these like corporations are just being bought out by a few handful of places and people, like Tencent, Embracer, like these just random Saudi Arabian investors. The one thing that is good that we know is that the indie games are still thriving, and we'll talk about it later in this episode about how an indie game from 30 developers made the Game Awards history without winning a damn thing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's get to the next one. We got some game updates.
Yeah,
quite a few here, Nick.
Just a couple random things that I saw today on Twitter. So a lot of these are coming from Wario64, but, pulling from official press releases.
Shout out Wario.
Yes, very much. And so let's start with Mafia: The Old Country. It's getting a free ride update. And with this comes a free ride mode, which is something that a lot of the older Mafia games have had. They're also including races, new challenges, new secrets, Cinema Siciliano mode, not sure quite what that is, first-person driving, and other different inclusions. So some cool stuff there. I guess we'll just go through these and then we can kind of touch on whatever we want. Ghosts of Yote is getting New Game Plus, as well as harder difficulty options, 2 new trophies, new cosmetics, replayable content, new accessibility options and new photo mode features, Sri. And
yes.
The other one is that FBC Firebreak is getting voice chat, and originally that was going to be added with like a bigger update. That update apparently needs a little bit more time, but they did share that it's going to be kind of like an endless mode that's coming to that game, which is kind of cool. FBC, I know, kind of flopped.
It's so interesting how vocal. Well, it's so interesting how vocal they've been, because we got the press releases from Remedy, and they're not shy about the fact that this game is underperforming. They're like, yeah, it's just we understand what's happening. Like, I don't know, there's something about it that I find amusing. But anyway, yes, I'm glad at least some of the news coming to the game. I do eventually want to hop into it just to try it out. I know it's on my list. I just honestly, it came out at a time where I was just like, it's not on my priority list.
Yeah, it is on my Game Pass list, and it's still on there. So I will be playing it soon-ish. But yeah, it's more so going to be like a curiosity play rather than something that I'm going to get really invested in. It's like I kind of want to see if there's any subtle story teases for future Remedy stuff, because all of their games naturally, well, most of them, I guess I should say, are under a connected universe. So it'll be fun to at least, experience that part of it. But Mafia getting updates, that's kind of popped up in the news a little bit. Apparently, we didn't necessarily comment on this on the podcast after the fact, but apparently Take-Two was happy with the performance for the Old Country and specifically attributed that to the $50 price tag. So I think that's cool. That's a good sign, because I was a little bit concerned going into that, where it's like it's kind of launching in a somewhat busy time, and I feel like people are gonna not really pay attention to it. But apparently, I was wrong.
I mean, this was one of the games that I consciously, even though I knew I would not realistically be able to play it for a few months, I picked it up on day one because I wanted to support it. And yeah, I'm really happy that that the game is getting the update again. It's one of those things where like the $40, you're already like, okay, I'm getting what it is, and they set the expectations very straightforward, right? Like before the game came out, they're like, yeah, it's a single player. This it's not very long. It's $40. That's what you're gonna get. So all of these are just like extra sprinkles on top. Like it's just cool little things to kind of give you another reason to go back or give you more reason to go in. And so I think it's really awesome.
Fun fact.
And also the Cinema Siciliano mode is just like a film, like old filmy, like vintage film stock type of thing.
Oh, cool. Fun fact that I learned about recently in a video. I'm not sure which video it was from, but actually I might remember. There's a person that I follow called Fun with Guru, and he does like a lot of videos where it's just like, hidden details and things like that in games. I think it was from this person. If not, I'm sorry, I don't remember. But
so just a free shout out.
There was I think it was a video of his, and it was talking about games that teased future games with like Easter eggs in older games. And one of them was in Mafia Definitive Edition, where you get these little, I think they're like cigarette cards or baseball cards, something like that. But they have specifically, there's a set that have a main character from each of the Mafia games, and there's a card for a character that's not been in any of the games, and is also not in the Old Country. And so people were speculating, it's like there was like I think either a canceled or a shelved version of Mafia 4.
Yeah,
and it's that might have been the character for that game. So if you want like a little bit of a little tease or like just like an insight into where they were at with it, there's apparently a collectible in Definitive Edition you can find, which is neat to me. It's just cool. A tiny thing, but cool.
Speaking of cool,
Hightail.
You can use that. I was gonna say you can use that any way you want.
I mean, this is cool. So I didn't know about this at all until today, but there was a game called Hightail that was going to be like a Minecraft competitor, kind of, and it was being developed under Riot Games, and apparently it got canceled several years ago. Well, according to the developers, it is back. So basically, the founder of Hypixel, which was the development team, posted on their blog saying Hytale is saved. And I'll just read it directly here. So it says, quote, "A new and exciting chapter for Hytale begins today. We are thrilled to announce that we have acquired Hytale from Riot Games. While it didn't make sense for them to continue developing it in its existing form, they ultimately wanted what's best for players, and that's for us to eventually play a revised version of the game. We are grateful to Riot Games for making this possible. Over the past few weeks, we have rehired more than 30 developers who know this game inside and out, with additional returns expected in the coming days. Together, we are going back to the original vision for Hytale. We are fully independent and personally committed to funding Hytale for the next 10 years. Transactions like this are rare in the games industry. Thank you for everyone for keeping hope alive. Hytale is saved." So, very cool story of a team being able to get the rights back to a game that was seemingly we weren't going to get, and now they can actually continue and make good on the development for it. So I thought that was really cool and worth highlighting.
Yeah, and kind of another detail on that is that the official Hytale YouTube channel actually just put out brand new, like 16 minutes of current stage footage. So like right after they bought it, it was uploaded a day ago. So by the time you're watching this, like a week ago, and it's like just the game currently in its current build, and it looks pretty cool. It's still a work in progress. Obviously, it's not like a glamorous like CGI trailer or like anything dramatic. It's just gameplay, but it's definitely what it is. I mean, you can tell you can see the Minecraft inspirations, but you can also see the more of the flair and the gameplay and stuff. So the fluidity in the gameplay and stuff. So yeah, so check it out.
Yeah, and then
and speaking of, I'll throw this in there as well because I don't remember what you thought about it. I don't think you were quite as taken by it as me, Nick. But Fate Keeper, which was showcased at the THQ Nordic fucking showcase, I think it was what it was. Their new game, Fate Keeper, they put out 8 minutes of new gameplay, and man, it looks good. I'm liking what I'm seeing, so check it out. I think IGN has it over there.
I started watching it. I need to go back and finish it, but I watched like about 2 to 3 minutes of it, and I was like, it
looks clean.
Looks like an Elder Scrolls-esque RPG that
I like but do you get a rat that talks to you? Huh? I don't think you get Ratatouille that sits on your arm.
Did you read the comments by any chance on that?
No.
The top comment cracked me up. It was the only comment I saw, and it said Ratatouille needs to lay off the cigs. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
One thing that I did see that I think is cool is they're kind of... It might sound weird me saying it this way, but I'll explain it. They're giving like more emphasis to looting, where there's like this little ornate kind of box thing that you come across at one point, and almost like a Resident Evil item. You can like manipulate it in
look
space
at it, and then you open
open it up, and there's some loot inside. And then a little bit later, they walk to the through this castle cavern area, and there's these boarded up area on the wall that you just slash the sword at, break it open, and there's armor in there that you can collect.
And there's armor in there,
So I think it's really cool that's cool. Like contextual in the environment. I think it'd be really cool if something like, a Fallout or Bethesda could like maybe expand on stuff like that a bit more.
Something like that.
To give the things that you're picking up a little bit more presence in the world. No, Bethesda does that a lot with, the random junk items and things like that, but there's still a lot of instances where you go to a closed locker and open up a menu and like pick things up. So it'd be cool to see a bit more tactile stuff like what Fate Keeper is doing here.
Yeah. A tactile is a good way to phrase that. Speaking of tactile.
Yeah, so essentially Unity and Epic Games also announced a collaboration today. Kind of odd to me, but it is phrased as, again, I'm using Wario64 here, so thank you for pulling this from Unreal Engine's website. Unity and Epic Games together advance the open, interoperable future for video gaming. And essentially what this boils down to is that Unity games will get support in Fortnite, and Unreal Engine support will also come to Unity's sort of cross-platform commerce thing that they have that they're setting up or whatever. So not a whole lot to say on this on my end, but I did think it was notable, and it feels like it's not necessarily like an answer to all of the, like, harsh anti-consumer, anti-developer Unity stuff that was happening, but maybe a step towards like trying to claw a little bit of that back and trying to do, some deals with people to try to get Unity, the positives of developing on Unity, a bit more of a highlight.
Yeah. Also, the phrase Unity games in Fortnite is fucking wild. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about, man? What are we saying here? Yeah,
because like
crazy. Anyway,
does Fortnite, it has like codes, right? When you put like a game up or
I mean, because
like
you can generate games within Fortnite using their own kind of tools and stuff. So yeah, and when you go into Fortnite, it'll essentially be like, oh, here's the modes. Like technically, the battle royale is a mode within Fortnite, right? So it's like modes by Epic or game modes by Epic, and it'll have Fortnite and zero build or battle royale and zero build and stuff. But then there's the hot trending games and the fucking like sponsored by this, whatever. So
I wonder
that's
if
where
you'll be able to buy like
it's a marketplace almost.
Yeah,
and you creators get paid the more people go to their map.
If it would be like I don't know if it was expressly on Unity, I think it was, but like Dredge. If like Dredge showed up and you could pay like V-Bucks to download Dredge or something.
That'd be so weird.
I bet that's where it's going, honestly. So very interesting.
Yeah. And I think that's actually the all the news we have here on the docket. Look, we're about to get into the main topic in just a second, but you might be wondering, hey, what's going on? Why are we going away for on a hiatus? Why is the season ending? Right when you're about to have the most amount of free time, probably. And the reason is because Nick did something that I could not forgive, at least for a little while. You guys know that I am a nerd at heart, and I get nerdy about very specific things, right? And I told Nick that this was a particularly important thing that I wanted to talk about, and he said, no, we can't talk about Tales of Berseria Remastered today. And I'm honestly, I'm a little bit heartbroken because I really wanted to relive the tale of Velvet Crow, and especially in the remastered version of this classic JRPG. I wanted to enjoy fast-paced, customizable battle system, and man, even maybe slash through anyone and anything. But unfortunately, no. Nick does not want me to navigate through a world of emotional bonds and betrayal with enhanced playability, no less. So it feels like he doesn't care about me, and so I need some time. Maybe definitely can't talk to him for the rest of the year, and we'll see how I feel next year. But anyway, let's get to the main topic. This is all about the Game Awards. Wow. Well, the nominations are out. They did a live. I don't know if this is the first time they did it, but I remember getting the notification on Twitter that it's like Jeff Keighley is live. I was like, oh, it's happening now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they announced there's a live stream. They announced all the nominations. We're gonna go through them. Nick is gonna walk us through it all. But first, ladies and gentlemen, head on over to respawnstation.com. Go and check out our website. We got some reviews coming up that are pretty interesting and exciting to talk about, that we maybe even talked about here, that we want to talk about more in depth. There's at least one topic that I want to write about that is not a review, just an opinion piece that's been in my mind recently. So there's a little tease. It'll be out by the end of this year, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, check out respawnstation.com for all your gaming nerdy related news, like Tales of Berseria Remastered.
Hello, listeners. This is future Nick speaking. So, later in this podcast, we discovered that I was a massive moron, and whenever I switched the scenes to record this fancy new setup where you could see the screen and everything, I never checked to see if my mic had an input for the recording. So, thankfully, we caught it at a certain point towards the end of the discussion, but a large portion of this, my audio, is just completely gone. So, essentially what I thought to do is I'm just going to go back through these categories, kind of talk about what I think we talked about, and then kind of cut that in and cut around what Sri is saying to try to make something kind of listenable. I don't know. It's probably going to be really rough and messy. I apologize for that on the finale here. But at least for the last 4 categories, you can have the natural conversation. So, without further ado, let's see how this turns out.
Oh, welcome back. Now, Nick, let's talk about the Game Awards nominees. Now, I would highly recommend, just for the shits and giggles, to go back and listen to our Dice Decides the Game Awards episode after you watch this one, because we're going to go through the nominees, but essentially we let a pair of dice decide what game, or a set of dice decide what games would win the Game Awards in numerous categories, and what games would get snubbed. And let me just tell you, it's a wild one, but it could happen. It could happen. So with that said, it's time to look at the nominations for the Game Awards, starting with Best Esports Team. Recognizing a specific esports team, judged the most outstanding for performance and conduct in 2025. Look, one of our friends is in esports. Is that not the team? I mean, I know it's not the team that he works for. That is one of that. That is a subsect of it, right?
It's best esports team. Basically, we were just kind of talking around it, but both Sri and I have a friend that works for Team Liquid, not specifically the Mobile Legends Bang Bang part of it, but that's the team we ended up going with anyway.
But just out of that, I don't have any other loyalties here. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go Team Liquid. Shout out Cav. All right. So next, best esports athlete. The esports athlete judged to be the most outstanding for performance and conduct in 2025, irrespective of game.
Neither of us really have anything much to say on these esports categories. Same with Kakaru. I think I picked it specifically because it was Street Fighter, but I think that, or Sri actually said it was because of the facial hair. I do remember that, as you'll hear in a second.
I'm gonna say Kakaru because I like his facial hair. That's pretty much the only metric that I have. So all right. And if you couldn't tell, we are not very deep into the esports team, or in esports game. So now, best esports game. For the game that has delivered the best overall esports experience for players, inclusive of tournaments, community support, and content updates, irrespective of genre or platform. Nominees are Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, League of Legends, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, and Valorant. I watched Valorant probably the most out of these kind of their tournaments and stuff, because they're pretty entertaining sometimes. So I guess maybe Valorant, just out of by default, that is the only one I watch, like that I have any experience with.
Best esports game, we voted for Valorant. I think we just kind of came to a consensus on that one.
Though I would be curious. I don't know much about Mobile Legends Bang Bang, and that is the team that, or the esports team we voted for. That is what they were playing. So let's see. Next is Content Creator of the Year. for streamer or content creator has made an important and positive impact in the community in 2025. The nominees are Kadrill, Kai Cenat, Moist Critical, Sakura Miku, and the Burnt Peanut. Yo, where the hell are we, Jeff? What's going on here, man? I don't know. I feel like Kai Cenat just kept coming up. You know, I think he had a good marketing thing going where I don't know I don't watch any of them. Probably Moist Critical because Austin watches them a lot, but
I've only really seen Moist Critical, but yeah, I don't really have much to say in this category most years.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I agree. But I think just Kai Cenat, I kept seeing like just out of respect for the production value of some of his stuff that he goes with. I guess maybe I'll go with him. I'm guessing that's how this works. I'm not sure because it says has made an important and positive impact. The next category is most anticipated game. It's going to be interesting for I'm sure there's not one game that's particularly anticipated by some this time next year. Recognizing an announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward.
Most anticipated games. So we got 007 First Light, GTA 6, Marvel's Wolverine, Resident Evil Requiem, and The Witcher 4. Now, I'm not personally a Witcher person, so that one was kind of off my radar. 007 and Marvel's Wolverine are like okay options. Between Sri and I, it would be down to Resident Evil Requiem and GTA 6, and I mean, come on, it's GTA.
I do think The Witcher 4 is like not an underrated one, but like I think there's like definitely a market there that's like I can't wait for that. Marvel's Wolverine, while I think that it's interesting, I think that after that last game thing, like the gameplay reveal we had, and also realizing it's so similar to Spider-Man while not being Spider-Man, I think that maybe it's a little bit more damp. Resident Evil Requiem, you don't even have to wait. It's coming out in like a month after this happens, 2 months maybe. I mean, look, GTA 6, GTA 6 really, like, if we're putting First Light against GTA 6, I think it's GTA 6, as much as I am looking forward to First Light. I will say though, shout out to CD Projekt Red because what they've done with having messed up Cyberpunk so bad after having such a glowing reputation, but somehow being able to recover that. It's like such a rare occurrence. Like Hello Games, I think they're in like rare company of how they've managed that. But anyway, next category is best adaptation, recognizing outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium. Nick, oh, what a selection we've gotten here, huh?
Best adaptation. So for this one, we have Minecraft Movie, Devil May Cry, Splinter Cell Death Watch, Last of Us Season 2, and Until Dawn. Devil May Cry and Splinter Cell Death Watch, I remember hearing not great things about. Specifically, the Splinter Cell Death Watch, I remember there being like an article that said Splinter Cell Death Watch is proof that Ubisoft still doesn't know what to do with Splinter Cell. So, judging based on that and what I've seen of Devil May Cry, those ones were kind of out. Until Dawn, I heard, was like an okay horror movie, but not a great Until Dawn movie. So that one's kind of out. Minecraft Movie obviously has its own share of, like, you know, it caused a lot of hubbub around its release and, you know, people trashing movie theaters and stuff. And then also Last of Us Season 2 was also kind of mixed. And I remember specifically talking about how it felt like the episodes that Neil Druckmann had a direct hand in were the best episodes from Season 2, where it felt most like, you know, the game. And then whenever he wasn't in the kind of director's seat, it just like had a lot of weird divergences and just weird kind of stuff. So we ultimately went with Last of Us still, but it was probably between Minecraft Movie and Last of Us. And I still think Last of Us had a certain quality bar that the rest of these just don't really have.
We all know but yes, we all know what happened with Minecraft, and Last of Us 2 we saw coming from a mile away. What about the I don't know, man. What about that secret level thing? I feel like one of those episodes could have been nominated if the quality was this. I don't know. We're scraping here, it seems, but I don't know. Maybe we just didn't have good adaptations. But
best multiplayer, we had Arc Raiders, Battlefield 6, Elden Ring, Night Rain, Peak, and Split Fiction.
Interesting list. Yeah. No Call of Duty. Just wasn't expecting that.
Kind of a weird category this year. I think we were between Arc Raiders and Peak. Battlefield 6 had really good shooting multiplayer, but it was just kind of a refinement of older Battlefield games, kind of like bringing back older features. Night Rain and Split Fiction are kind of like yes, it's multiplayer, but not necessarily in the traditional sense you would think of multiplayer. More like, co-op than either competitive multiplayer or, just not really what we necessarily think of when we say, great multiplayer game. Like Elden Ring, Night Rain, or Split Fiction, I don't think would come up in my head when asked that specifically. Peak, on the other hand, I think is sort of the opposite of that, where it's also a non-traditional kind of multiplayer experience, but the multiplayer is so core to the overall experience. All those clips that went viral of just, people falling down cliffs and all this other stuff, it definitely hit an audience, and the multiplayer aspect of it, I think, is what gave that game so much life. So ultimately, I think we ended up giving it to Peak.
So that's definitely a big part of it, but I also think that the game mechanically is really solid. Like the movement mechanics that you have at play feel really smooth. Like, one of the things that I find really interesting is that so you can just you can jump off of a ledge and catch another ledge. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, but then like you can plummet and knowing that you're like going down a long like a range or a long distance and grab a ladder and like slide down the ladder halfway through it. The game will kind of let you do that. I've also seen people kind of jump off of a ledge and to flank someone, and they catch themselves on a light post and then drop down. So those kind of like weird, interesting movement mechanics let you get drops on people, and like how you navigate the environment, also the way that the kind of robots interact and add this kind of sense of menace to the whole thing. I think that all of that is part of the reason why, yeah, there's been so much. I think Arc Raiders has a really big virality to it, similar to, I think the only other game. Actually, no, there's two games here that are also similarly kind of here because the virality helped them a lot. Peak is the big example because, the whole thing is just like seeing clips from people playing Peak with their friends and being like, dang, that's kind of fun. It kind of looks Peak. And the other one is Battlefield 6, which really, I think, successfully nailed the only in Battlefield thing this year, where there was so many clips that I was seeing of people like dragging their, friends out of, or teammates out of a battle, while they're bleeding out. And then like the explosions go on, or like a sick fucking flying shot or whatever, So I guess in that way, Elden Ring, Night Rain, and Split Fiction are the kind of the outliers. Yeah. Honestly, I'd say probably... I'd probably say Peak. I don't think Night Rain will win, despite FromSoft's pedigree with the Game Awards. I think Arc Raiders didn't have maybe enough time to really get to, like, Peak had all year to kind of build up, and obviously look what they hit, like 10 million players or something like that too. So next is, I mean, this is going to be a quick one. Best sports and racing game for the best traditional and non-traditional sports and racing game. The nominees are, Nick.
We got EA Sports FC 26, F1 25, Mario Kart World, Rematch, and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. F1 and EA FC, we were just going to be out on pretty much by default. There's definitely an argument to be made about rematch, but I think it was a bit maybe content light, and it seems like the conversation has kind of already left it, at least from my casual perspective. And then if you're down to Mario Kart World and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, I've heard great things about Sonic Racing. I've played Mario Kart, and ultimately I just think that Mario Kart has, it's Mario Kart. It's a bit of a safe sequel and not that exciting, but the quality bar from Nintendo is just always there. So, that's not really true. Even Mario Kart World is like a bit meh compared to other Mario Karts, but on soundtrack alone, I would probably give it to Mario Kart.
At least not enough people. I don't think it'll be an overwhelming vote by any means. Rematch is interesting from the developers of Sifu. Totally different, but I think they got some real success there. Yeah. I'll go with Mario Kart World just because I think it. Despite I think the price being a little ridiculous if you were buying it outright, if you buy it with the Switch 2 bundle, and it's kind of like it's a fun game to play, and I had a good time playing it with my wife to just going through races, unlocking new characters and stuff like that. Yeah, all right, next up. Next is Best Sim Strategy, another one that I don't have much to say about, but this is for the best game focused on real-time or turn-based simulation or strategy gameplay, irrespective of platform. Nick, I think there's one game that kind of automatically gets the vote, but we'll run through them for me.
Final Fantasy Tactics, The Evil East Chronicles, Jurassic World Evolution 3, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, Tempest Rising, 2 Point Museum, and The Alters. Now, The Alters was the only one of these that I've played, and as a result, I gave it my vote there. Tempest Rising, I remember not knowing what it was. Sri will explain in a second what that is.
Yeah, that's good. Tempest Rising, by the way, I don't think it's actually a reimagining. It's just like they advertise it as a throwback old school RTS. So I guess that's like a classic RTS set on Earth and after a nuclear war. So there you go.
2 Point Museum and Jurassic World don't really have much attachment to. Civ 7 I thought was kind of, people weren't as big fans of it when it first came out, at least from, again, a casual onlooker's perspective. And Final Fantasy Tactics, I mean, it's kind of like a remaster of an old game, so it's cool, but I don't think it's really going to cinch that specific, best sim strategy. I just think that a lot of remasters, they kind of have like an uphill battle versus brand new games. And I think the Alters, specifically the strategy part of it, while I wouldn't exactly classify it as a strategy game, it does have elements of strategy games in it with the resource management and the time management. So a little bit biased because I played that one, but I do think it was a really interesting game, and it deserves to get at least some recognition here.
Best Family, for the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform.
Donkey Kong Bonanza, Lego Party, Lego Voyagers, Mario Kart World, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and Split Fiction. Now, Split Fiction I think is kind of weird in this category. Like, it's nothing about it necessarily isn't family friendly, but it also seems like it skews a bit higher for the narrative, like, that people would need to follow, and also the gameplay mechanics I think are a bit more involved. So that one I think is a bit weird in this category. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, Mario Kart World, good options, but ultimately I think Donkey Kong Bonanza is probably the best fit here. The Lego games are also pretty cool. Lego Voyagers, I kind of feel the same way about it as I do Split Fiction, where like maybe it's like for a bit of an older audience, not necessarily, saying that like you couldn't play it with family, but Lego Party kind of feels closer to the overall vibe of this category. And I think ultimately compared between that and Donkey Kong Bonanza, Donkey Kong just like everything about it screams family fun. So I definitely think that Donkey Kong will take the cake on that one.
Actually, they're both. Is it just developer name underneath or publisher too? Because it seems they're different studios. Lego Party is SMG Studio and Fictions, and Lego Voyagers is Light Brick Studios and Annapurna. I feel look. I look Lego games. I did hear like I think Voyagers was good, and Lego Party is this Mario Party kind of Lego version. To be reductive, I suppose. We all look. Sonic Racing is good, but like it's I think Mario Kart World outweighs it. Personally, I feel like this is really between Split Fiction and Donkey Kong Bonanza. I just don't think like Mario Kart World is good, but it doesn't quite I think capture either the wonder of Donkey Kong Bonanza or the kind of the spectacle of Split Fiction, in my opinion. It's pretty dark. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think it's the kind of bright adventure ride of it all, a roller coaster ride of it all. That's like, oh, you're doing this and then yeah, yeah, whimsy. So that's probably why. But again, Donkey Kong Bonanza is also like this, like definitely you play with your kids. It's cute, There's a little girl that's on the donkey's shoulders, and it's like whoa, and she sings. I think also. All right, best fighting for the best game designed primarily around head-to-head combat.
We got 2KXO, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and Virtua Fighter 5 Revo World Stage.
Another category. Yes, another category I have no experience, so I'll go with Nick's expertise here.
Now, this category is a bit weird. There's two different fighting game collections in here. There's like a new version of an older fighting game. There's Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, which is a brand new game, and then there's 2KXO, which is technically still in early access. It's like released on PC, but we kind of go into it here. But ultimately, we voted for 2KXO, but yeah, I could see it going between 2KXO or Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, honestly. I'm not really sure any of the collections or new version of old game will really, like, claim victory in this situation. I really do think it is a race between Fatal Fury and 2KXO.
Oh, 2XKO is free to play. So it's free, available on PC, and coming soon to Xbox, Series XS, and PlayStation 5 consoles. Yeah, it's a free-to-play fighting game with explosive 2v2 gameplay and fast and intuitive controls. And obviously, if you didn't know, it's also from Riot, which also gives them a little bit of, a leg up for their kind of track record alone, I suppose. Yeah, no, I agree. I'll back 2XKO. Obviously, let us know if you disagree or agree with any of these. Just, feel free to chat them at us. Man, this is an interesting one. This is where we start to get into the juicy stuff. Best RPG for the best game design with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. Ooh, okay. Almost all the games on this list I have played or I want to play. So it's very interesting here. Go ahead, Nick.
Best RPG, we got Avowed, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Monster Hunter Wilds, and The Outer Worlds 2. Now, I have yet to play Outer Worlds 2, but I am really looking forward to it. Didn't play Avowed, but Sri did play Avowed. I did play Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, neither of us have really gotten to that one yet, or Monster Hunter Wilds. Wilds had a bit of a, rocky, I'd say, kind of release. It was successful. I think it sold very well, but it seems like it didn't really hit the same highs as Monster Hunter World did. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is really cool to see in the list. That game has just kind of had consistent momentum through the entire year. Expedition 33 obviously is the favorite for a lot of these categories. I don't think Avowed has really a chance, unfortunately. And similarly, of all of these, The Outer Worlds 2 will probably be my favorite. I just also don't think it quite is going to match the Expedition 33 or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 kind of rivalry in this category. Ultimately, I went with Clair Obscur because I played it and I can speak to its, quality and everything like that. But yeah, I think it is going to be between Expedition 33 and Kingdom Come in this category.
Double Obsidian. Yeah. I will say, though, not Avowed. And look, realistically, Nick, I feel this is down to two games. That's being generous, I know, but I do think it's down to 2 games. Those 2 games, in my opinion, are Clear Obscure Expedition 33 and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And I've heard good things about Outer Worlds 2. It's actually on my list of games to play to get to as well. I think for me, kind of we can put a quick bow on it, but essentially the way I look at it is, and for to a certain degree, I'm speaking for both personal experience and also kind of general, like what I've heard people talk about this game and people who I know have played the game tell me about it. But it's one of those things where I think Obsidian is currently maybe struggling with really emotional development or character for their characters, especially because so much of their kind of game design for these fantasy or their big RPGs is companion based. And that's one thing where I felt Avowed didn't really hook me, as vibrant and beautiful as that world was. I just didn't care about the characters enough, and ultimately the story was like fine, but like I wasn't really that invested in it. But Outer Worlds 2, I've heard is a little bit better in that context, maybe, or depending on preference, it could be worse. But the big thing is, I've heard so many people praise the kind of the mechanics and the way that the fault systems, or I forget exactly what it's called, but the system where you can get negative traits. That system is so interesting, and I've heard so much praise about that I would love to see them or someone iterate on that in a kind of a cool way. But the thing that Clair Obscur and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 have is that they are a developed, like they have solid foundation of gameplay systems, but they also deliver an emotional story that feels satisfying by the time you complete it. And again, we know that from kind of Clair Obscur. No, Nick played through Clair Obscur, and I've heard that from countless people about KCD2. So really, it's one or the other for me. What are you thinking? I mean, obviously, I think you've played Clair Obscur, so I think you'd maybe vote for that one. Yeah, for sure. I'll vote for KCD2 just out of respect. It's sitting on my short stack right now, waiting. Next up, we have Best Action Adventure. For Best Action Adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving, 5 games.
Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, Ghost of Yote, Hollow Knight Silksong, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is cool, and Split Fiction. Basically, for this one, what it boiled down to for me was I cast my vote for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and the reason for that is because obviously Indiana Jones is a landmark in the just adventure genre. You have things like Uncharted and Tomb Raider that kind of, are loosely based off of Indiana Jones or thematically based on Indiana Jones. And Machine Games really just kind of hit the nail on the head and made like an amazing game adaptation of these adventuring films. It really gives you that globe-trotting, adventurous feel. You have the sneaking around of the stealth. You have the bombastic, combat whenever things get messy. And just overall, I think compared to all of the other games in the list here, while all of them are action-adventure games, I feel the adventure part of it is the most strong with Indiana Jones. So I'm really glad to see that it got a nomination and hoping that maybe it'll be able to cinch the victory here.
Yeah, I'd buy that. I mean, for me, I don't think Split Fiction is really in the ring. Death Stranding 2 is interesting, but I don't think it really has that puzzle solving thing. It's more of like, as you're exploring, it's like, oh, I feel this, like this new area is really like stunning, and like the design of it is really cool, but I don't necessarily feel like it maybe qualifies entirely for that. So, I mean, Ghost of Yote and Hollow Knight Silksong are the two kind of big ones to compete with it. You could talk, I could see again, where part of it is trying to think about what the general public will also see, but because I think Ghost of Yote is very much so. I mean, that's the thing. You know what? I talked myself into it. I'll also go Indiana Jones because I think the one thing that I've heard about, while Ghost of Yote and Hollow Knight Silksong are both great and fantastic games, the thing that I've heard a lot about them is that it's the same thing. Like it's Ghost of Yote is more of Ghost of Tsushima in a new place. Hollow Knight Silksong is more of Hollow Knight, just in a new place. So I think Indiana Jones, even though it is first person, which is familiar for machine games, it is a new feel. You know, it has new mechanics, new kind of systems, new kind of old world, but new story and everything. I'll back Indiana Jones on that.
Best action game. We got Battlefield 6, Doom the Dark Ages, Hades 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Cool to see Shinobi getting a nod, I will say that. This one is a bit of a tricky one. Battlefield 6 has pretty good action. It's more so in line with like the destruction, though, that I think a lot of the action elements really shine their best. There is a lot of just like standard, military back and forth shooting. But whenever you get those like only in Battlefield moments, that's when the action feels at its absolute best, right? Hades 2, definitely an action-packed game, but so much of those games are the other aspects, like the narrative, how that evolves over time, the roguelike elements, where the action is certainly a big part of it, but ultimately, I think it's more of a combination of multiple factors that make that game really sing versus just the action. So for this specifically, I was between Ninja Gaiden 4 and Doom the Dark Ages, and I think Ninja Gaiden 4 just screams action game to me more than a lot of these other ones. So that's ultimately what I ended up going with. Also haven't played Doom the Dark Ages yet. Planning on doing that very soon. So hopefully I really enjoy it. And maybe I'll be able to speak to that a bit more. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden 4 just kind of screamed, this is the action of action games for this category.
Crazy, yeah, crazy that Shinobi made the cut. That's cool. Yeah, no, man, best action game. My vote, honestly, would probably go for Doom: The Dark Ages, just because it feels like the, it's. I really appreciate how they've evolved that series while by essentially making each game in the trilogy have its own feel while still adhering to the overarching kind of a character and lore of the Doomslayer. I really respect that. Like Battlefield 6 is just more of a return to form. I think it's it's fine. I've played it a little bit. You've played it a little bit more than me. I think it's good, but I don't know. In Hades 2, again, it's one of those things. I mean, we can go back and forth on kind of, is that more of the same? Same thing with Ninja Gaiden 4 and Shinobi. But you can make the argument that those are just the, again, return to form. I don't know. I mean, they're very different. Obviously, Ninja Gaiden is a totally new game that's set in that world, and Shinobi is much more of a throwback, I think, right? But hey, that's the thing though. Doom's got the accessibility. Everyone can play it. There's a certain level of people that are like, yeah, if you can't keep up with this, don't play Ninja Gaiden. Actually, I think there might be like a super easy mode or something like that, but still, like a baby wavy mode. Next up, we have best AR VR. Sorry, sure, I did that. For the best experience playable in virtual or augmented reality, irrespective of platform.
We got Alien Rogue Incursion, Arcan Age, Ghost Town, Marvel's Deadpool VR, and The Midnight Walk. Didn't really have much to say about the first three here. Marvel's Deadpool VR, I wanted to give a shout out to Andy THPS, because I know he works for Twisted Pixel Games and worked on Deadpool VR. So as somebody whose guides helped me massively in my Tony Hawk 3 and 4, and honestly 1+2 Platinum trophies, big shout out to him. Ultimately, I went with The Midnight Walk, though. Art direction-wise, this one really wowed me when it was first revealed in I believe it was a Sony State of Play. And I've not gotten to this one either. There's a lot of games this year that I, haven't been able to get to specifically, but this one screamed to me to be the most interesting one, so that's ultimately where my vote went.
Oh shit, I accidentally voted for Arcan Age. I don't even know what that game is. You just counted my mouse click. I have heard about the rest of these games though. I've only heard about it through like just kind of people cropping up on my timeline saying that, talking about it. But I would honestly give it to, out of loyalty, Alien Rogue Incursion. I've also heard it's good, but just, I uh I love Alien, so I think that's kind of where the basis is. Because like Marvel's Deadpool, sure. I mean, we've talked about it. We had a reaction to it, but like I don't care about that much. And Midnight Walk looks awesome, by the way. But personally, of all of these, Alien Rogue Incursion. You know what? I'll back you. I'll back you on that. I'll change my vote from Arcanage to Midnight Walk. I still, shout out to Alien Rogue Incursion. But I just, to convince myself, I looked at the Steam scores. And Midnight Walk is, and this isn't an indication of everything, but Midnight Walk is very positive, both recent and all. But Rogue Incursion is mostly positive, all reviews, but recently it's been mixed. So I don't know if they've done something, but yeah. What the fuck? Destiny Rising. By the way, I didn't actually look at the nominees because I was waiting for this. So everything, everything we've listened to and everything going forward will be a surprise for me. Destiny Rising, Persona 5 The Phantom X, did not even know that was out. Sonic Rumble, Ume Musume, Pretty Derby, and Wuthering Waves. What the hell? I have heard so much about Ume Musume for like a month. It was ridiculous. Honestly, man, I'm going to say I heard Destiny Rising is decent, but then the monetization stuff maybe is a little fucked. I'm going to say Wuthering Waves. Fuck it.
Didn't have much to say on any of these other than I knew Phantom X was kind of mid when it first came out and just kind of was very, mobile game marketplacey, so we ultimately just went with Wuthering Waves.
Yeah, with 7,000 reviews mixed on Steam. Damn. Okay, well, all right, yep. Wuthering Waves. Though I know damn well a game called Pretty Derby will be the winner. A game where you're racing anime girls, that's gonna win. Best debut indie game. This is an incredible lineup, a very diverse lineup of games for best debut indie game created by a new independent studio. And hey, you may be wondering, hey, there's only 4 nominees. We'll get to that in a second. The nominees are Blueprints, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Despelote, and the recently finished Dispatch. There was another game called, I think, Megablocks. Megabank, Megabank. That was the 5th game nominated, but the developer actually they're like anonymous. They don't know. We don't know who they are, but they actually said that this is not their first game. There's just a new name that they're using to publish this game. So they withdrew from the competition, which was awesome. Thanks for holding yourself accountable. Being honest. Or here's the thing: Blueprints, I don't think we'll win. I've heard great things about it, but it's just a very niche game because it's a roguelike, but you're like reliving through like building this, putting this house together. You're going through blueprints. Very good name, by the way, Blueprints. But yeah, I don't think that's going to win. It's too niche. Despelote, another, I think, niche game, but very personal one. I think the emotional kind of resonation of that will help it kind of carry it. And if you haven't heard about it or played about it, check it out. It's from Julian Cordero. Oh, it's right there. Oh, yeah. No, Julian Cordero and Sebastian Valbuena. So, check out Despelote. But I think this is really down to 2 games. One, just recently, I think maybe the word of mouth recently has been helping Dispatch. But Dispatch is essentially, it's from Ad Hoc Studio. It's a self-published game, or like, you know what I mean. So it's an indie debut indie game. This is very much so a Telltale style episodic adventure with, I think, a team with that pedigree, right? They have Telltale pedigree or no?
Clair Obscur, while it is technically an indie game, I think it is going to be the favorite to win some bigger categories, so I thought that it wouldn't make sense to really give it these indie ones. I thought Blueprints and Despelote were maybe a little bit niche, and Dispatch didn't have many nominations and was getting a lot of positive buzz, so ultimately we went for Dispatch on this one.
I think there's a lot of word of mouth about Dispatch being really, really good just in the last few weeks because it's been coming out over the last few weeks. And I think that's one of the really good examples of, oh, that formula does work. There was a period when Life is Strange came out. Everyone's like, this is it. The formula's been cracked, episodic. And then it felt like everything was doing episodic and they kind of eased off of that. Dispatch is like, hey, that still works if it's done well. But I do think it's Clair Obscur. Just I've seen so many people kind of it's such a huge game, right? Like it really feels like it's as you were saying, the Baldur's Gate 3 of it all, and I think there's just so much of it that's just like people getting swept away in the emotions. So it's a snowball effect of the longer it goes on, the more love it gets, and sure, yeah, no. Well, I mean, fittingly, the next is Best Indie Game for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made against the traditional publishers system. Outside, sorry, not against. I guess maybe against as well, but made outside the traditional publisher system. This is 6 nominees: Absalom, Bollock's Pit, Blueprints, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong. Ooh, what a stack we have here. Again, I think Blueprints is not gonna get that one. Nothing against Blueprints or Dogu Bomb. Just want to say. I also don't know. I mean, Ball Bit is. I've heard a lot of interesting things about, especially recently because it just came out. That of how addicting it is. But I don't know what would be the long. I don't know, man, because it is unpopular. Like it's getting the current zeitgeist. But I think if we're being honest, Absalom I heard is good too, but it feels very indie even compared to against these other games that we were talking about because we'll talk about it. There are 3 real competitors here, in my opinion. The 3 big ones are so not indie in terms of their scale. Because we have Hades 2 from Supergiant, which is a sequel to a Game Awards winning game that was like beloved, and so the expectations were super high on them doing it, but also they're like everyone knew that it was gonna be good because they had that track record. So that's one. Hollow Knight Silksong, we don't even talk how fucking memed it was that like when is Silksong coming out? When is Silksong coming out? And it hard to believe that we're now past that point. It's already nominated and we're about to move past the award season for it, but from Team Cherry, kind of a huge announcement or a huge undertaking. And then we have Clair Obscur, and everyone and their moms heard about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It was so hard to escape. Like I had friends of friends who don't play video games being like, oh yeah, Clair Obscur. Yeah, like I'm enjoying that. I'm like, really? You've heard and you're committing to Clair Obscur? It was just wild. And I think that there's a level of accessibility there that maybe Hollow Knight Silksong might not get that gives Clair Obscur the edge. Anyway, what do you think? I talked a lot for the...
I'm a big Devolver fan, so Ball Pit has been on my radar, and I love to see it get a little bit of recognition here. Similarly to the last category, though, Absalom and Blueprints I think are a little bit too niche for the voting populace, and I think maybe had a little bit too much going on that people couldn't definitively give it the win. Clair Obscur, again, I think it's a favorite for other categories, so kind of overlooked it for the indie ones here. Then we have Hades 2 and Hollow Knight Silksong. This is where I think it's probably going to be between, and ultimately went with Hollow Knight Silksong, despite the kind of, how do you say it, the polarizing difficulty. Despite that, I think Hollow Knight Silksong, just for how it lit the world on fire, the quality bar of that team, and to be realistic here, Hades 2 and Hollow Knight Silksong are both very similar to their first games, so ultimately I think Hollow Knight's probably just going to get the leg up over Hades 2 in this circumstance.
I think that or Expedition are both kind of fair play. I don't really know what the size of Silksong is, but I'll vote for Silksong just because they said they had so much fun making the game that's why it took so long. They're just like, we're having so much fun. Next, best community support, recognizing game for understanding. Fuck me, outstanding community support, transparency and responsiveness, inclusive social media activity and game updates patches.
Best community support. We got Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and No Man's Sky. For this one, Fortnite, we said, we'll get into it with best ongoing game, but this one didn't really scream like they were doing much supporting. It was just kind of like, they have a lot of money to keep the game going and doing cool things. Final Fantasy 14 and Helldivers have both kind of had like some stumbles throughout the last couple of years, so it's kind of weird to see these specifically in this category. No Man's Sky has always been firing on all cylinders, and Baldur's Gate 3, I think I saw online that they were surprised they even got nominated for this category, so ultimately we went with No Man's Sky, even though it is kind of the fan favorite over the last couple years, but deservedly so. Every year they're putting out awesome new free content for that game, so very cool.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to say I really don't know how good any of these are, other than probably No Man's Sky, and I've heard Helldivers is decent too, still. But I still think I follow Hello Games, so I consistently know what they're up to, and the level of support they give for their games, and even like what the Switch 2 release and everything like that, and how it just they're fucking great guys over there. Community support, yeah. They're just updating because they're trying to retain players. It's not like giving the players more. They're trying to get you to pay more out constantly. Whereas I think No Man's Sky is actively like, hey, you're already here. How do we make it more entertaining, more kind of stuff for you to do and explore and see? So yeah, I that's why I agree, and that's why I think Helldivers 2 would have maybe also caught my eye, but nothing kind of. When that game came out, everyone was like, this happened and this happened, and I think it's kind of teetered off. Whereas No Man's Sky still comes up. I mean, some of these will have less to say about than others. I mean, this one, best ongoing, awarded to a game of outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. Go ahead, Nick.
Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, No Man's Sky. This one we did ultimately give to Fortnite just because of what I just mentioned, where they've been shoveling money into that game for years now. They do constant new, crossovers and map changes, gameplay changes, all this other stuff. So ultimately, I think they are deserving of the best ongoing one, at least for this year.
Just Marvel Rivals get swapped in, yeah. Best ongoing. I might say Fortnite just for the hell of it, because honestly, like I know I don't care about Marvel Rivals or Final Fantasy 14, and Helldivers 2 made its leap onto Xbox this year, which is again kind of bit of a big kind of boost for that of player base. But I mean, No Man's Sky, we just talked about community support. I think that Fortnite is the one that's rolling out, kind of evolving the player experience, because the way that the map is different is so fresh and new, while being kind of charming in its own way. Fortnite! You got to drop a Fortnite when you vote for it. Games for impact. For a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message.
Consume Me, Despelote, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, South of Midnight, and Wanderstop. We gave it to South of Midnight. I've not played any of the games on this list, but South of Midnight, of all of the games here, that screams like something that I would want to go and boot up, it would be South of Midnight. So we'll kick it over to Sri, see how this part of the conversation goes.
This is really interesting. So these are three of these games are ones that I've had on my list to play. Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, Life is Strange team, or Don't Nod, South of Midnight from Compulsion, and Wanderstop. Really cool ones. I gotta say South of Midnight, just because I personally, of the things I appreciate what it's trying to say. I believe it's kind of talking about kind of like grief and kind of like loss and kind of stuff like that, but it's through the lens of like a southern fantasy world, and like you said, I love the aesthetic and everything, but like just the whole filter of it all, is really it's cool. So I think that one. But again, these are all. I think of all the categories, Games for Impact is one of those ones where that's feels very diverse. That you should definitely, if you have the opportunity, check out these games. They're also mostly shorter than than not. Oh boy. Innovation in accessibility, recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. What a lineup we have here.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, Atomfall, Doom the Dark Ages, EA Sports FC 26, and South of Midnight. Can't really speak to Atomfall or South of Midnight all that much, or EA Sports FC 26. Doom and Assassin's Creed Shadows both were in the news and or highlighted accessibility features in, trailers and such like that. Basically, I was following Sri's lead on this one, and that Assassin's Creed seemed like it had a pretty robust feature set, whereas Doom was kind of just tweaking the game to let a couple more people play that might have been turned off from the hyper speed kind of game design of Doom Eternal. So ultimately ended up giving it to Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Oh, really? I mean, I do know Doom: The Dark Ages, but I think Assassin's Creed Shadows actually. I've heard a lot of things have been going on. Like kind of, I mean, I think Atomfall kind of launched with them. I believe Shadows got an update for more accessibility features, but I've heard a lot about it. That Assassin's Creed Shadows. So honestly, it's a mix up. I don't really have I don't really know which one's recognizing or like adding. I don't know, medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help gamers. I mean, yeah, I'll say Assassin's Creed. Atomfall also. Any of these could win, to be honest, but I'll say Assassin's Creed. Yes, I know what I get what you're trying to say. Wow, what a list we have here. Best performance awarded to an individual for voiceover acting, motion and or performance capture.
So this one's going to be a pretty tricky one. So we got Ben Starr for Expedition 33, Charlie Cox for Expedition 33, Erika Ishii for Ghost of Yotei, Jennifer English for Expedition 33, Konatsu Kato for Silent Hill F, and Troy Baker for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I actually think that this is going to be a really tricky or very contentious category this year. Half of the list going to Expedition 33 cast members. Ultimately, and not to mention Troy Baker as Indiana Jones is a very transformative performance. It's truly incredible. I think, though, that it is going to go to one of the Expedition 33 members. For me personally, it's between Charlie Cox and Jennifer English. I think both of them have all of the soul of the game. And while Ben Starr obviously is very, very good as well, I think Jennifer English's part has the same amount of dynamic range and, character that Ben Starr's does, while kind of shouldering much of the experience on her shoulders. So ultimately, I think it's going to go to Jennifer English, but this is definitely going to be a very heavy category.
Keeping with the audio, we have Best Audio Design, recognizing the best in game audio and sound design. A pretty definitely expected list here as I look at it for the first time.
We got Battlefield 6, Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, and Silent Hill F. Ultimately, for me, Battlefield 6 gets this one. If there's one thing that the game has been firing on all cylinders since even its first form, it is that sound design. I specifically told a story in here where I remember watching footage from the open beta and specifically texting a friend of mine saying that the jets sounded so cool, just screaming through the multiplayer maps. So, yeah, I think with all of the categories here, like Ghost of Yotei, I'm sure is great. Death Stranding 2, I'm sure is great. Expedition 33 is great. Silent Hill F is great. All of these are great. From what I've played, though, I would probably give it to Battlefield 6.
No, I do think it's like a movie. Like watching it is like the whole production feels like you're watching a movie, and it really places it in there. But that's the thing. Like other than maybe the sound, the way that, sorry, as you were saying, like the music comes in, which impeccable placement of music in the game. I don't think it's maybe not as like mind-boggling. I mean, again, the voice acting is good, but didn't get a single voice acting nom, so it's not like that's not as what we're talking about here. The Silent Hill F, obviously a horror game, so that's working on a certain standard already, like or a certain kind of niche. You can speak to Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, and Battlefield 6. I think Battlefield 6 is the one that really sticks out, where like I remember playing it and being like, "Damn, the audio is fucking cool." Now, best score and music, leveled up by Spotify. Whoa. For outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack, it's specifically. I see. It's the artist that's getting nominated here. So we have Christopher Larkin for Hollow Knight Silksong, Darren Korb for Hades 2, Lorian Testard for Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Toma Ottawa for Ghost of Yote, and Woodkid and Ludwig Forsell for Death Stranding 2 On the Beach. And I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, this is where Nick and I will butt heads, because I have to go with Woodkid and Ludwig Forsell, because god damn, the score for Death Stranding 2 is crazy. Especially all the original songs that Woodkid produced for specifically the game. So as opposed to just like licensing it like typical. Man, incredible lineup. And I know Nick has talked a lot about and I was there. I was in Gamescom for one of the live songs too, and it is good. I will say
it's Expedition 33 for me easily. The music is so core to this entire game. It's so varied. It's surprising in a lot of ways. You wouldn't think that, just a random club music would start during a boss fight in this fantasy game. But it does, and it works, and it's incredible. Just every single part of the music bleeds into this game, and I think it's just so fresh, so unique, and honestly, I don't even think it's close. I know Sri's going for Woodkid here for and Ludwig for Death Stranding, but ultimately, I think it's Expedition's category to win.
I'm also very curious to get to Death Stranding 2 at some point, because I've put about 10 hours in and I have not been able to go back. But yes, I'm curious to see what you think as well, because it's a very interesting one, and I wonder how it'll sit with me after I finally finish it. I definitely think the longer you break, it feels like it's like a TV show where like season 2's got to come out or whatever, but. I want to know how long the story or the characters or just the vibe will stay with me. And I think the soundtrack being so good, and songs being like ones I want to actively pull up and listen to has a lot to do with as well.
All right, and we got to best art direction, which means we discovered that my mic wasn't working. So thanks for listening to future Nick ramble about these categories. I don't know how this part is going to turn out, but let's kick it back over to the guys to finish out the podcast.
Oh no. No. Oh no. Is it just me talking to myself? Oh boy. Oh. What do we do there?
Well, I started recording again. I will figure something out with that.
we'll cut it to. Yeah, you can maybe summarize what you were saying. I don't know. I'll let you get creative.
Well, so we're cutting back in here real quick. I just discovered after 2.5 hours that the mic wasn't recording for this part. At least the news and the game part. I definitely was.
Yes, yeah.
So not so bad, but that was a big blunder on my part there. But
imagine the entire Call of Duty section you didn't speak for, where it's just mostly me going, "Yep."
God, that would be man. That would be such a heartbreaking revelation.
But we did catch it for the final four. These are the final four nominees for the 2025 Game Awards. And here we go. Best art direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation.
Yeah, we got Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silk Song. We've seen it a bunch already. Art direction.
Yeah, these are all games we're familiar with. I mean, look, you gotta have to sell up Clair Obscur for me because I think that I Death Stranding 2 is such a strong competitor for art direction. It's also, I think, what really stuns me about that game when I was playing it is like it feels like so intentional when yes, things are fucking balls to the wall sometimes, but at the same time it feels like there's a reason for it, and it like all kind of feel like nothing really. I guess maybe it's weird because like I was gonna say nothing feels out of place, but like anything can happen. So when you set up a world where like everything is possible, like the puppet will just start dancing to a solo, or go in a coordinated dance, then anything that happens just feels like part of the ride. So yeah, I think Death Stranding 2, but Ghost of Yotei I've heard great things about as well. The other two are also really good, but just personally.
Yeah, I think Hades 2 and Hollow Knight Silk Song, fair to say that they are very much tied to their first games in those series as far as art direction goes. I would argue Ghost of Yotei also. I do think Yotei looks really nice though. Expedition 33. I mean, I might go with Death Stranding 2 with this one on you on this one, because while Expedition 33, I really do enjoy the art direction of it. I think it is a very unique looking game, especially compared to everything else on this list. And it really kind of sells a 3D painterly like environment and just like a dreamscape, essentially. I do think it really excels in a lot of that. I do think that some of the environment art specifically, though, feels really busy. And it's like they just kept having ideas and
I can get
didn't
that.
take anything out of it. And so sometimes I do think, while you kind of get this feeling of like wonder when you stop into a new area, some areas you're just like, what is happening here? There's rocks in the distance in the sky. There's like an aurora borealis here with a black hole in the background, and the battlefield transitions into like a beach with like molten red water and stuff. So like I think it's maybe a little bit too much at times, to where to your point about Death Stranding, where it feels intentional. I feel like some of the elements of Clair Obscur kind of get a little bit lost in the noise of just everything that's in front of you. So I could definitely go for Death Stranding.
I agree. Ghost of Yotei does look absolutely stunning. But yeah, for my experience, I'll do Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
Sweet.
Now, best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game.
Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, cool, that gets a nod in here, and Silent Hill
surprising.
F.
And not surprising in like, oh, that's in there, but like I'm glad that is in there. That's really cool. And I wasn't, again, I did not like see the nominations before as my live reaction to them. So yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 being in there is awesome because I've heard so many great things about that narrative. It is a thing that I will agree. Like, look, Silent Hill F is one that it's tough because so much of that is like such a weird kind of serious but depressing story that they're trying to tell, which kind of makes sense with the kind of the history of that specific writer for Silent Hill F. Ghost of Yotei I've heard is good, but it's similar kind of. I think it's one of the ones that led to the first party games have a lot of kind of similarities in terms of narrative structure about like the cycle of revenge or whatnot. Maybe that's kind of works against Yotei there, but for me, I would say, again, I don't know. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I've heard great things about. I don't know if it's necessarily an emotional one. I've heard just it's like a Skyrim-esque thing where so would like Skyrim be considered a best narrative? Like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I
I'm yeah. Go ahead.
I have my issues with the ending of Expedition 33, like the last kind of like arc that the game goes on. But even with issues aside, I do think the actual endings of the games do stick the landing because there is two different kind of endings that you can go with. And I think the beginning two acts are really, really great, narratively speaking. I've been like going back and watching, people play it for the first time, and there are specific, scenes that I'm looking forward to seeing and like, seeing other people experience for the first time. Death Stranding 2, I've not played it, so it's hard for me to say, but I remember Death Stranding 1 just kind of being, it's very Kojima, obviously, but it more so than any of his other games feels like, yeah, this makes perfect sense to Kojima, but I really have to do some digging to understand what this narrative is really going for. So for me, I think I would give it to Expedition 33. Again, it's not like a perfect narrative, but I do think that it posits interesting questions. It has really interesting dialogue between characters that you wouldn't expect from a game like this. And overall, I think I was more positive on it than even, whatever issues I might have with the
Sure.
later half of it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I really want to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 so I can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it's just like I just wish that I had the time right now, but going on vacation really dampens that that pacing. But
right.
Next, we have Best Game Direction, awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design.
Listen here if you heard me say these before. The Clair Obscure Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Hades 2, and Split Fiction.
I haven't heard you say a single one of those games before. Yes. Best Game Direction. I am going for the controversial pick of Death Stranding 2 once more. Why? Why, you might ask? I mean, look, the plain thing is, like, I really like a lot of these games that I have played of these or have seen of these, but the thing is, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about the art direction as well, about the Death Stranding 2, and why I'm okay with I agree with the narrative. It's not like it's a good narrative. I definitely agree with Nick what Nick's saying to a certain degree of like, oh, it needs you need to like read about what it's trying to say to understand it maybe, or like you need to analyze it more, and which again, that's not a bad thing, but I do think that some of it is a little bit more obtuse. But the reason why, even when it's obtuse or cerebral feeling, that it still makes sense is because my case in point for this is literally what Nick said like 5 minutes ago, which is that it's a Kojima ass thing, and that's the fact that that is a thing means that Kojima knows exactly what he's going for, and that's the sign of good. I think strong game direction, and I think, dare I say, the best game direction is steering the ship in a way that even if it's not like fully makes sense, it's like, yeah, this is where we're going. The destination has been set by the game director, and it's being pushed toward.
Yeah. Split Fiction.
That's my strong case.
Split
Fiction is also yes. Go ahead.
I liked it, but I think the general consensus with Split Fiction is that it takes two, but not as good. And so I think that there is something there, maybe in the direction wise, where I could understand not really going for it. Hades 2 is a bit of a weird one because it was early access. And while like, I just think that that's also kind of weird, where it's like, the community was kind of like shaping the direction. It's interesting, but I don't necessarily think that, it's quite the same as some of these other games
Sure.
on the list.
Yeah.
Death Stranding 2, I could totally see, even though it'll be meme to hell if Jeff gives Kojima best game direction. Yote, I'm interested in because from what I've seen of the game, they made a lot of changes compared to Tsushima that did make it a better overall experience. Like, what stands out to me specifically is like going to rest at your campfire and having like shopkeep NPCs or quest related NPCs coming to you where you're at versus going out to these places and seeking them out to do various, busy work or anything like that, while also heightening the parts of the game direction that Tsushima kind of laid the groundwork for. On the flip side, Expedition 33, I think there are so many aspects of that game that have a very strong, definitive direction to them. And then I think there's also a couple areas where sort of like the busyness of the art direction, it feels a little bit overloaded or not tutorialized super the best. So
yeah,
I'm probably between Death Stranding or Ghost of Yote on this. If you're going Death Stranding, I might go Ghost of Yote and just kind of be like, there's at least evidence here for
we're hedging our bets.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we come back for the next season, we can be like, we totally called it. Which one? One of us did. Now, drum rolls, please. Ladies and gentlemen. It's not a drum roll, but you get the idea. It is time for Game of the Year. Recognizing game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. 6 nominees. Holy shit.
Clair Obscur. I'm guessing I know which one you just said that in reference to, but Clair Obscur, Expedition 33,
yes, go ahead.
Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Were you saying that in reference to Donkey Kong?
No.
Oh.
It's actually for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Oh, wow.
Donkey Kong, see, here's the thing. Donkey Kong, I know there has to be at least one Nintendo thing in here, all right? Just for the hell of it. And I genuinely do think that Donkey Kong has enough kind of going for it where it would make sense to be here. But just I don't know, man. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I'm fucking happy for these for Warhorse. I mean, it's fucking crazy. They well deserved for sure. I picked it up because I've seen so much about it, and I'd seen so many people talk and play it, and I knew it was time. But I'm happy that it's getting this recognition because, like, again, you could I would honestly have Nick. We didn't do it this year, but we the last 2-3 years we've predicted what games we think will be on the list, and if we did, I think all but Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 would have been on my list. So yeah, that was the holy shit. But all right, what are you saying? I mean, look, for me. Boy, it's tough. It's not going to be a Hollow Knight or Hades 2. For me, that's my vote. That's not where my vote's going. Also, Kyle Bossman's going to hate us. I know he's a regular listener to the show. Not voting for Donkey Kong Bonanza. For me personally, Nick, any of the ones that I've said no to, would you want to fight for?
No. I have a somewhat scientific approach to where I think it's definitely going to go, and where I think it's going to go is Expedition 33. I know that's not going to be the surprising answer. I think, in years past, probably the year that Last of Us 2 was nominated for everything, it won a bunch and then won Game of the Year. I was kind of like, that's, not that surprising.
Sure.
I also think it's probably going to be very similar for Expedition, at least in this category. And my reasoning behind that deduction is, I think while Kingdom Come is very impressive that it's on here, I feel of all of these games, it's probably the most niche of that. And so people probably just, of the overall voting populace, probably aren't going to go for that versus the other games here. I think Hollow Knight was a little bit too divisive for people, specifically on that difficulty, like I was talking about. And so that might, cool it off. Hades 2 and Death Stranding 2, I think both of them fall into, like, while they are incredibly impressive in what they do, and they obviously take risks, I feel like of all the games here, they are the safe sequels, and they probably wouldn't beat out something as original and as much of a powerhouse as Expedition 33 is. And so realistically, that leaves it between Donkey Kong and Expedition 33. And similarly, I don't think people would really give it to Donkey Kong when compared to, Expedition 33. It seems like the voting populace, they really like to latch on to a game that makes them feel things, right? And while Donkey Kong makes you feel like, happy and excited, I feel like the overall narrative and the emotional kind of journey that Expedition goes on is what will really kind of clinch the victory for Sandfall.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I agree with you. I agree with you to pretty much almost the entire degree what you explained. How you weeded out all of them.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I would, and I do think that Clair Obscur will win, but the only reason why I will say that KCD 2 has a chance is simply by the surprise of it being there. Is, I think, like the sort of maybe the underdog story. I mean, there's been certainly some times in the Game Awards where it's like, oh, and then like the one game always kind of does a little surprise victory here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, I do agree. Hades 2, Hollow Knight, even Death Stranding 2. It's more of the things that you liked. But the difference is, I think that, like, I don't think Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was on everybody's radar, right? Like KCD 1 was good, but 2 was so much better, like exponentially better, where I feel like it takes that it's doing what a sequel should in terms of like innovating on it and fully realizing the potential of what I think in many ways the first one was trying to be. Whereas Hades 2, and again, we already said what we had to say about the rest of those sequels. So that's why, and again, I'll stick with what you said about Donkey Kong Bonanza. So while I do think Clair Obscur will win, I do think there's that room for, I think, KCD 2 to kind of be the upset. Not for me, but that upset victory kind of thing where, because I do think it's, and again, I'm going off of what I've seen and what I've read and stuff like that for that game, but I do think there is enough emotional weight to that game from what I've heard that it should stay with you. And I do agree with what you said about that emotional ones kind of maybe linger a little bit longer than, while fun is fun. I'm going to remember maybe the moments where I was more kind of moved or passionately kind of, or frantic or some kind of emotion rather than just being like, whoa, this fucking, I can destroy this whole level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I guess Clair Obscur gets the vote.
Yeah.
But KCD 2 as the underdog story.
It would be very interesting to see see this Game Awards in general, because there's so many categories this year that I feel like we've mentioned it on here. Well, I'm gonna have to re-record, dummy. But there's many moments that we talked about where it's like I'd be happy with any game in winning in this category, right? It's a very, compared to last year, where it felt like it was a very kind of weird mix of games where it's like some were like clear winners in some categories. Others, it's like, I don't know if like any of these I would really like, die on the hill for. I feel like there's a lot of, just high quality stuff that came out this year that really landed with people and have a lot of like fervent support behind them. And so it's definitely going to be a pretty bloodbath year, I feel, for the awards.
Yeah. And, regarding kind of, that game of the year topic, yeah, I mean, it is part of, I think, what maybe Clair Obscur has working for it as well is that Baldur's Gate 3 effect of just the positive word of mouth has done so good for it. And when you look at it in the broad, like that's the tough thing, right? We're this is the Game Awards for this year and that means that the context of what the game came out to is also kind of it's still part of the conversation of what's going on with all these games, right? Whereas maybe a few years removed from now, you can just look at it more objectively of just here's what's going on with this. But that being said, I do think that that Nick had said, but it's not on video, so or it's not on audio, so I'll take credit for it. As I said at the start, the snowball effect that Claire Obscure has, it adds up, and I think that's kind of why. Yeah, it would be interesting if it gets like one victory. You know, like we're saying like, yeah, it's got the sweep, but no, it gets one. You know, Jennifer English gets best performance, and then it's just it's too close of a fight and everything else, and it doesn't get. You know, sure, we'll see. But there you go. That has been our rundown and thoughts on the 2025 Game Awards nominees, I should say. For those of you who don't know, the Game Awards will be taking place this year during our off season on December 11th. It'll be in the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, or you can, just watch it online on YouTube and or Prime. I think they're doing some sort of Prime. Oh wait, there it is. Yeah, they're doing a team up with Prime. So the Game Awards will be live streamed on Twitch as well for the in 2K for the first time, allowing thousands of people to rebroadcast. Amazon exclusive deals. So as the official retailer, Amazon will relaunch its dedicated shop, Amazon.com/The Game Awards, featuring special deals and offers on games, hardware, and accessories from now until December 31st. Interesting. Anyway, there you go. That's a random fun fact. But December 11th, that's when you can watch the Game Awards. We'll talk about it when we come back for next season. And who knows what'll change by then. I could be totally different. Nick, anything else you had to say to the people before the end of the episode? End of the season?
Two things. One, we'll see how I solve this audio problem. That'll be interesting. So apologies for that. But on the flip side of that, thanks for watching. Again, it's kind of been we are in this like pattern of going on a hiatus and whatnot. And I think it works well for,
yeah.
While it's been for external reasons, I think it is nice to have a little bit of time to kind of like reset and then come back to it. But we've pretty much done this for 2 years straight now. So I think that's really cool. And thanks for listening and watching. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you indeed. If you have listened to every single episode, then congratulations. You just finished episode 69. And as always, until next time, thanks for watching, and have a good night, a good morning, and a damn good time. Boom.